Oh yeah. I got this from a friend forever ago. It's good. It's a good shirt.
Very good shirt.
I must now go and link the thing. I should also. Huh. Huh. Perfect. Okay, we are good. We are good. I think we're good.
One day.
Yeah, we should be. We should be good. We should be good. We should be good. I still have to link the thing, but we should be good.
Guys, I think we should be good.
Why did I have a... Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
That's what is.
I had a message typed out in the general tab in the server, and had no fucking clue what it was. It was the Tenseigan from Naruto, the last. Don't know why it was in there, but
Who's to say?
This is weird. I'm so used to linking D&D streams that I'm not used to linking our anime podcast. Oh, good. I actually do have my brightness set up properly on my actual webcam, so that on OBS, so that it doesn't look like dog shit like it does in Discord. That's good.
We love that.
That's smart of me. I don't know why my lighting's so dog on Discord. Hey John, can you talk quick?
Can I talk quick?
Okay, Hey Mason, talk.
Talk.
Okay, we might need to adjust you a little still, but we should be good. We should be good. We should be good.
We should be good.
We should be good.
The good should be us.
Hey guys, I have something I have to open this episode of the podcast with.
Is it
Oh,
Pokemon
boy.
cards? I hope it's Pokemon cards. I don't have an addiction. You have an addiction.
So my sister at work walks to the back room and goes, "Sean, do you need an Xbox?" And I go, "No. Actually, precisely no, I do not need an Xbox." And she goes, "Are you sure?" And I go, "Why?" I decided I did indeed need an Xbox.
Holy shit!
Incredible.
And like the real
got
series,
the Xbox Series T.
like the real Series S, it is a subpar version of the actual thing it is, because that's right, this is a toaster with one slot for bread.
Oh shit.
Incredible.
I
Thanks,
just think
Microsoft.
I just think it's beautiful. I only got it because it was on clearance, so it was like
Sean,
a
you're right, we
stellar
could do
deal.
this.
You're right. I know. Hey guys, welcome to the anime podcast. You know, the Saber Slay of the anime fray of the winter 2024 season. If you're new here, which people may or may not be, we picked 12 anime that are not sequels, are not short form, and do not require extended viewing of prior anime, with the exception of motherfucking Ghosts last season, because I mean, come on.
We didn't realize that as well, but also it was called
No,
Also,
I
it's motherfucking
definitely
go-
did know that.
We definitely did know.
We knew it was connected. We didn't think it was going to be like.
Hey,
You kind of have.
arguably we didn't need the extra knowledge because the season didn't happen.
We killed the show week 1.
Don't worry
It
about
was week
that.
2.
Or was it week 2? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
It
still...
was week 2.
It certainly
Yeah.
wasn't doing great week 1.
Oh yeah, it was not. But
Wow.
so this season we've picked those 12 shows already. We will be talking in the order of me, Michael, Mason, John. You know, this way. And we've watched the first 3 episodes of all 12 of our shows. That's right. We've watched 36 episodes of checks notes. 37 episodes of anime. Thanks, Sasaki and Peeps.
Yeah.
No, it was just a longer episode.
It's the equivalent of 2.
Let's be honest, we can thank Oshinoko for that.
Yeah, he wasn't
No,
the
there was
only
other
one.
stuff
But
that did
it
that.
probably...
There's some things doing
Here's
longer.
here's how we know it wasn't Oshinoko's fault. This isn't exclusive to High Dive and also 45 minutes long.
I mean,
if they did it again,
We Make Our Life had an extended first episode.
it sure
Extended
did.
episodes
Did
isn't a
not
new
need
thing.
It sure did. But But yeah, so we have 12
No, we
shows.
needed it so we could get through the second arc by the end of it.
We will run through those 12 shows
Could've just been 13
momentarily.
episodes.
No, they needed to get to the second arc.
So here's what you gotta know. There's gonna be spoilers for the first 3 episodes, loosely. Mainly the 3rd episode, because we're not going to summarize the entirety of 3 episodes. We're going to briefly do it, but we're not going to really do it, because we're going to try to actually talk about these shows. We also have a power ranking of which we rate where we think each show, matches up with each other, at this point in the season. Now, I've revealed to my co-host before going live that this season, this first week of the power ranking, not a single one of us shares a number 1 slot for the show this week. So none of us have the same show at our number 1 spot. Obviously, I know the answer, so I'm not going to be able to guess at other people's number 1 slots. But Michael, take a round. What do you think everybody's number 1s are?
So
keep in mind,
my very large amount of thinking, which
yes.
is me looking at this going, yes, probably these. So my guess is going to be Sean has Dungeon Meshi at 1, John has Sign of Affection at 1, and Mason has Mr. Villain's Day Off at 1.
No one clarify whether he is right or not.
That would be my guess.
Mason, would you like to run through?
I will agree with Michael on yours and John's, and I'll say he also has Sign of Affection.
Well, none of them are the same. None of them are the same. Yep.
So I'll say he has either Fluffy Paradise or Sasaki and Peeps.
Fluffy Paradise is a good read.
Okay, John.
Sean clearly has Way of Pon at number 1.
That would be really funny if he had it at number 1.
It'd be pretty big.
Really funny.
Maybe basically put it at number 1 and then also voted to kick it this week.
That'd be immensely based.
I think. It's hard.
You don't gotta start with me.
My thing is, I don't know what Mason would put at number 1. I really don't.
You know it's not what you put at number 1.
Oh no, for sure. I know it's probably something like Mr. Villain's Day Off, or...
Okay, so you're in a group with Michael.
That's what I would think. Or Delicious in Dungeon is somewhere for somebody. But, I think Sean's got Delicious in Dungeon at 1. I'm gonna say Mason has... I think I'm gonna go with that, with Mr. Villain's Day Off. I think Michael goes with Sasaki and Peeps, number 1.
Okay, so before we reveal who is right, who is wrong, and where things like Michael, it's really funny because you know what yours is,
funny.
and I know what mine is.
I can't wait for Sean. Sean's is gonna be something wild.
If you want to make a
change mine,
we will make a mental note that you're changing yours. So because I already have the screenshot, it's not a live feed, so I don't feel like adjusting that. So we'll make a mental note when I pop it up. Before I do, remember, spoilers, harsh language, and unfortunately this is going to be a long episode. So strap in. Let me go drop the screenshot in. Viewers,
I'm changing. Oh god.
Well, I was going to say, viewers at home, you will notice that anything that is bolded means that it is not in the same quadrant as anybody else's shows. So since this is episode 1 and there are 12 shows, there are 3 quadrants.
I thought we had this into 3 sections.
Well, yes, but shut up. So there are, it is broken into 3. It's 4 shows in each of the 3 blocks. Better? Are you happy now? And if a show is not, if someone has a show not in that spot as anyone else in the podcast, it'll be bolded. And normally you would expect this, especially on a first episode where there are 4 shows in each block, to not be so prevalent. However, some people have made decisions this week. Oh, that's gonna be frustrating that background color is not the same.
That is a fair choice, Sean. That is quite fair.
That was what I was changing in mine too. Okay, Michael. All right.
So are you just bumping it above the other 3? Are you just dragging it up, Mason, above the other 3 on yours?
No.
Or are you just moving?
No, I was saying I was changing my vote of what I thought your number 1 was.
Yeah, you could. I thought you wanted to move the power ranking. Oh, you could do that.
I totally forgot that was a show for a minute.
I was like, wait a second. I was looking at the list and I was like, oh right, no, Sean was Super 8 on this show.
So without without getting absolutely crazy. Any comments we want to make about this?
I'm not surprised on anything.
Really?
I just find it
That's
really funny.
crazy.
Both of you guys said my number ones were my 6 and 7.
I think Dungeon Meshi being that low on Mason's list is a little surprising, but I also kind of get it.
What about the thing right below it too? I think that's wild.
I think it makes sense. It's very.
Okay.
We'll get to it, but it's been very slow.
So I will be entirely honest on my rankings. My 1 and 2 are there. My 11 and 12 are there. Everything else in the middle is just I just kind of threw it in there.
Yeah,
So-
weakest Tamer ending up at 9 was certainly just, fuck it, ended up down there, huh?
So I'm gonna.
Damn.
That was kind of me too.
Sucks to be it, I guess.
I'm gonna be the guy who has real strong opinions. This is pretty fucking
will say,
accurate. Outside of the fact
I really
that
like weakest Tamer.
this top 4 is probably my top 4 set. There might be some lenient room of where stuff moves, but everything else I feel pretty damn good about, and I will talk about why they are exactly like the stuff that is below and above is pretty on point. I think the only point where there's a little bit of overlap for me is like my 10 to 7 are all like they're in that block of like you could maybe move 1 or 2 around and I wouldn't care too much. They're all in the mood of depending on what you do, you can drop to the bottom next week is kind of where my cutoff line hits. So something I do want to point out that I think is really funny or interesting is that before we got anywhere near doing this first episode, Mason said to me, John's not going to like BUCCHIGIRI.
Yeah,
And he
actually,
has it
He's not-
the
forgot.
highest
I don't love
out of
BUCCHIGIRI.
everybody on this on the ranking. I just think
particularly
it's
love
funny.
BUCCHIGIRI, but like it does something and it does it correct.
it does it well.
It does what it wants
Like-
to do well. Like I give it credit.
Does it?
It's funny at times.
I know what
Is
it's
it?
going for.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Boring as fuck.
We'll talk
I
about
thought
it.
it was a really bad generic shonen.
Michael, there is a show on your list that I'm really interested to hear you talk about because it's your show and where it is. But hey, we're gonna get into it, people.
I can't tell which of the 3 that is because I put all 3 of my shows in the bottom half
You sure did.
because I don't think any of them are particularly good.
I mean, there is one in particular that I'm excited to talk about. But real quick, let me go. I'm gonna just upgrade. I'm just gonna update this little bugger.
Also, if it's my number 12, my number 12 staying down there.
I'm
that's
so
what
I
agree
think
with
that show's legitimately terrible.
I agree.
That is the show I didn't want to continue watching. Like when I had to watch episode 3, I was like, damn, I don't want to watch episode 3 of this.
I'm so excited to talk about this because I have such a radically different opinion of that show compared to now I know Michael and Mason. Because Mason and I talked briefly about this show. I fucking like it. We're gonna talk about it. We'll get into it. But first,
That's of course why it's at 9.
like I said, nine's
I just
not.
said I liked Tamer.
Nine's
and
not
it's
bad.
at my 9. I think Tamer's really good.
Actually, the show that's at
It
everybody's
just kind of ended up down there.
You see the show at everybody's
Hey, guys.
nines? That's
Anyways,
actually
we
our
talk about
favorite
anime.
show.
There will be spoilers. We will say
Yeah,
bad words.
yeah, I hit this. I hit
mean,
this already.
I'm not saying that. Not
They
saying
should
Tamer's
know.
my favorite.
Oh,
I
I
just
know.
liked Tamer.
So-
I thought
Well, we're
there's
gonna
like
be
a
going in
major
circles
gap
here for
between
about
my
another 10
9
minutes, so
and then
we're
my
gonna
10.
reiterate it.
I agree with John here.
But the
we will
reiteration-
talk about all of these.
But hey, I know. Let's get into it. Let's get into what I think might be the first time in a while that we have a show that we're going to be referring to by its Japanese name over its English title, because Dungeon Meshi just rules as a title. Looking at you, JJK.
Delicious in Dungeon.
Remember the first week of that season, Michael, where we referred to Jujutsu Kaisen as Sorcery
Sorcery
Fight on all
Dear
images?
God, why?
And then
Did
we,
we?
we never called it. We didn't call it that. We quite literally talked about it as Jujutsu Kaisen, but all like the text on screen said Sorcery Fight.
Because we did all this stuff in English.
Yeah. And then we were like, and then nobody wanted to call it Sorcery Fight.
Like,
So
this is boring.
That's
Yeah.
maybe the worst name ever.
so yeah, let's talk about
think
It'd
Dungeon.
be
Dungeon
like
Meshi.
talking about Haikyuu and calling it volleyball.
Yeah. So let's talk about
'Cause
Dungeon
that's what it
Meshi.
translates. I'm pretty sure.
Let's talk about Dungeon Meshi and its fun roster of sociopaths and psychopaths, self-proclaimed. Why are you there? There we go. This show is a fantasy dungeon crawl show that is also a cooking show. congrats, you've caught up on Dungeon Meshi. The plot is that our main character, Leos, his sister, Phelan, has been eaten by a dragon. And thus, because she was inside the dragon when the escape from dungeon spell was cast, she is stuck inside the dragon. Meanwhile, the rest of the party, outside of our rogue and our wizard, have fucked off because they have better opportunities elsewhere. And because because they used an emergency exit spell, they don't have their extra gear that they could maybe sell to make money to like go back down to this pretty deep floor of this dungeon. To go save his sister. Instead, the group decides we must now. Well, I say the group decides, but really, Leos decides for them that they are no longer going to buy food from the surface. They are going to make food from the dungeon, which terrifies everybody. Until they meet their new dwarf companion, Senshi, who is a dungeon gourmet. Episode 1, they cook very base level dungeon stuff. Episode 2, they walk into Made in Abyss and cook some little more extreme monster stuff. And then episode 3, Leo stares at a bunch of living armors and go, why can't I eat metal? I want to eat metal. Let me eat metal. This is by Trigger, Studio Trigger, so it looks fucking incredible the whole way through. I'm gonna just run through some real quick highlights. Episode 1, I think, is a nice little introduction. I like it. I think it's good. Episode 2, at first I wasn't feeling it. And then because I was like, oh, we're just really focusing on the cooking thing and not really going to make any progress. And then we established that episode 2 is to actually flush out character dynamics and flaws, to which, Marcella, the group's wizard, her flaw is that she feels fucking useless in the early stages of the dungeon because no one wants to let her blow all her spells on stuff. Because it is important to take care of your ingredients and not fireball them. Or sacrifice dogs. And then the second half of episode 2 focuses on Chilchuck and him being the group's rogue, and as such being the trap dowser. And trying to convince Senshi that he should stop triggering traps that may kill them. In fact, they will kill them. Please stop triggering traps, every rogue ever. At which point Senshi's like, but, okay, I agree. It's your job to find traps and to keep us safe. It's my job to cook, so you're gonna use the traps to help me cook. I enjoyed this bit. And then episode 3 is just a really well animated, like, one focused action combat with a bunch of living armors that are secretly mollusks in disguise. And that whole episode rocks. I like it. It has an opening by Bump a Chicken. I can't say more positive things about this show for me personally. What are your guys' thoughts?
The show's good.
It's good. It's not as good as I was expecting because I went into this going, it's a Trigger show. It's going to be batshit insane. And it just kind of hasn't really been that yet.
I mean...
But also, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because Trigger likes to do its, like, halfway through rug pull, like they always like to do.
You're telling me that you don't think sacrificing dogs to mandrakes is not batshit insane?
You telling me looking at a piece of armor and going, "Oh shit, that's a mollusk," isn't insane?
Not true.
I don't know.
Insane.
I think
that's fair.
I think the show is just wacky enough.
It's
fine. I think the show's fun. And also, I think these 4 characters are fucking wonderful. They're a bunch of goobers doing goober things.
And we're gonna get more.
They're wonderful.
If the OP is any, any
also,
hint.
Giant mommy character.
Fun thing I do want to talk about is that because I saw this in a thread before actually watching the show. So in episode 2, when we're doing the whole my job is to be a rogue, your job is to make food. Marcella's job is to be the mage. You might notice that that Chilchuck doesn't say anything about Leos in the manga. There's actually an additional shot that shows Leos just sitting there and his face is he's just looking at him like, and me? You gonna say anything about me? No? Oh, okay. And it is apparently a running gag, and I appreciate that.
It's fine. Leos is just the leader.
He's just the guy.
And also, he has a sword.
That's slowly getting digested in a dragon, but we don't have urgency about that.
Look, really slowly,
No, there
and
is
that's
urgency.
okay.
The dragon's
Look,
asleep. It's okay.
She's a cleric. She surely has protection from dragon stomach acid as a spell.
Yeah.
As all clerics do.
I don't know. I watched season 1 of Critical Role. I know putting yourself inside of a dragon doesn't usually end well.
But it's a red
I mean,
dragon.
even if she didn't have it, she can just prepare it, so it's okay.
Yeah. She'll be fine. Sure. I think that is the hardest thing to get past in episode 1 is like, okay, you're taking your sweet time cooking on the first 2 floors of this dungeon. My man, your sister is in a dragon.
Yeah.
And in episode 2, they're like, well, like food in a dragon digests really slowly because of hibernation. And you're like, okay,
That's slowly?
we're gonna see where this goes.
They're playing. This world is a thing where people go into a dungeon and then respawn back at the surface.
Yeah, it is
It
interesting.
seems sometimes.
I
don't know what the because Leos is mentioned dying multiple times. Like he's like, hey, I've died like 9 times or whatever.
A couple characters.
I don't know if it's just because he can be revivified. I don't know if they respawn.
They make it sound like you
So-
die in the dungeon and you get booted back, but you lose like a bunch of equipment and money and like.
Well, they've also mentioned though that like there's body cleanup crews.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
there's
I-
no real
I'm just choosing to-
consistency here.
I'm just choosing to
think
go
they
with
mean
the
die to,
flow
like,
because it's a
revive with,
goofy ass
revive
fantasy show
magic.
about eating food in a dungeon. In episode 1, they eat scorpion like it's a lobster.
I think it's like there is a degree of which you become dead that you cannot come back from.
Like disintegrate spells.
Like that, and like maybe there's a certain day pass period where it's like, oh, if a person doesn't, I mean, they say body retrieval. For all we know, that means they find the body, bring you back up, and then bring you back to life.
Or
because
like your
they
body gets
need-
dropped there, then a new body gets made. Okay.
Also,
It might go into this, or it's just gonna not explain it, and then we're just gonna have to go with it. I don't know.
sorry, I could be, I'm pretty sure I'm right. This is the show about that starts with the One Piece opening where it's like the wizard of this lost town came to the surface and said, "Go into the dungeon and collect our greatest treasure," and then he vanished into dust.
Yep.
I think there's another show that also has a One Piece ass like intro bit like that.
Yeah,
I just
Way of
don't
the
remember
Pon.
Which one? Is it? No, Way of Pon just has a One Piece.
No, Way of the Pon just in 2 of its 3 episodes opens with people having nightmares about Mahjong.
About playing Mahjong.
That make it almost seem like the stereotypical anime opening of like, and here we are at the Mahjong table. John, do you
No,
have
no,
other
it's
thoughts?
It's Witch and the Beast that I'm thinking of because they have
Yes, they
two
have
of the
the-
episodes open with or have a section where it goes, "A witch's curse can only be solved by this or this," except the fact that we already told you about a third way. But, like, we
Yes,
don't
well,
justify
no,
that.
they-
You can just
that's the-
swoop them.
They don't want to constantly remind you about the third one, except for when it has to come up.
except for when it's important.
Don't worry if we get to it next week, which something tells me we might. I'm sure next week they're also going to open with that, but I'll talk about why I think that when we get to that show.
I think Dungeon Meshi is good. I think it looks really pretty because of course it does. I think I like the cooking and stuff. ProZD voices the cooking character, which is based.
Ooh, yeah, I'm not watching this dubbed.
But
I'm watching everything dubbed that I can.
show's really pretty. It's a good time. I mean, it's up there for a reason. I mean, it looks good. It does what it wants to do. It's AAA devs basically.
Also, episode 2's character moments are like way more impactful than you expect.
Yeah.
When Marcel goes on her little rant about her imposter syndrome, I was like, damn, ouch.
I just love
Fuck.
I just love the trap episode in general because it's just like, listen, you do your job, I'll do my job. It's like, okay, then you will do my job by doing your job. Also, please teach me about traps so I don't die next time. Thank you.
Yeah, I really like that
That's
at the
based character moments. Also, he filled that walk with way too much oil. That man is fucking insane.
Yes.
There's a
Like,
really good
goddamn.
quote. There's a really good quote in that episode from Senshi to Jilchuk where he's like, so because Jilchuk's like, I go to move it and the food falls apart. I turn the flame up and the food doesn't turn out right. And so she's like, yeah, then that means it's not a flame problem, it's a you problem. Figure it out.
Damn.
Which is fucking a
As my
burn, if
girlfriend
you
said,
will.
Show good when they cook. No plot, only cook.
The other thing I really like is that like this is like very much playing into like the D&D race thing as well, because it's like Chilchuck's a halfling, and he's just very light-footed. One might say a light-footed halfling.
A light-foot. Yeah, I technically know a spoiler thing about Marcel, but I don't know how much of an actual spoiler it is.
Just simply don't
say
it.
And it's the reason her ears are rounded despite being an elf.
Ooh, I didn't even notice that, is what I will say.
Yeah, her ears are not pointy, they are rounded. They still stick out, but they're rounded at the end. They're not pointed.
Interessant.
There's a video called My Recommended called Marcel Dance, and it's just a little animation by someone from like 2 years ago of her dancing, then being saved by apparently a character that also shows up later in the manga. And apparently Marcel might be gay. I don't know.
Let's go,
Base. Probably is a fan thing where they are two very gay, where they're very gay definitely to each other. And person comes is like, oh, it's like so nice seeing an elf with rounded ears, and a person comment under it's like, and this is the reason why. I was like,
it happens.
Cool.
Also, at the end of episode 3, we now have a little friend in our sword. Which
we got Migi. He's here.
It really does.
Is that a cursed sword?
No, you don't have to look. It's not cursed. Why am I detecting life forms in it? Don't worry about it.
There's nothing.
Not at all.
Like, hey, you're staring at that sword for a good minute there. Are you okay? Yes.
It's also a really cool episode because episode 3 is a really cool episode because the living armor move in a way at the start of the episode that's like really interesting and fluid, and then when you get the reason of why they are the living armor and their movements match perfectly. He explains it to make sure you realize it, because smart man. But like it just matches up with how it's animated too, and it's really cool. You also get the bit where he's like, now what could be making this magic move? It's not what could be making this armor move? It's not magic, cause fuck Marcella. No, she doesn't get to be right. Not here, not yet, later. It can't be magic. I don't believe it. It's got to be something I can eat. And he's like, if it was a slime, it would be going like this.
And it's like the fact that its head matters means there's something about that.
It can't be a swarm, which is the most terrifying thought, by the way.
Yeah,
is that the living?
It's a large amount of bugs.
Yep, hate that.
Hate that, Dick Show.
Why'd you put that thought in my head, Show? Don't like that.
On one hand, there are moments in this show where I'm like, yeah, these are probably some okay, accurate cooking tips. And then there are moments where it's like, you know what? If you do make the mandrake scream and actually get the scream out, it does taste better. It removes all the bitterness. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't take some things at face value from this show.
No, that's how that works.
Yeah, as someone who's used to cooking with mandrakes.
Oh, of course.
Next, that's the PR. Next up...
Oh, God, hey. Is it Sasaki to Pii-chan or Sasaki and Peeps?
It sure is. Hey, Michael.
Yo, it's Peeps, my favorite singular person.
Hey, Michael, we have to get something.
I thought Peeps was gonna be like a collection of people. I thought that was gonna be like the joke. That
no,
Sasaki
I knew it was
what
the
show was gonna be coming in. And
I knew nothing about the show other than that it was called Sasaki and Peeps, and I thought Peeps was a funny word, and had a pre-poster.
Hey, Michael, I need you to do me a favor. When you start talking about this show, just to get this across to the audience very clearly, can you just try your best to talk only about the first episode for a little bit? Just do your best to summarize the events of this 45-minute first episode.
Okay. So to explain how this show was created, actually, I think that'll give a better picture of what the fuck this show is. So this is probably not how it happens. It's a dramatical reimagination. A mangaka went to his editor and said, okay, I have 2 ideas for a manga. I have one where it's a salaryman who ends up in an isekai world. You can travel back and forth, and he makes a business by selling real-world things in this isekai world and gets fuck tons of money from it. And, like, does business, makes money, makes bread. Because he's kind of poor. Because he's a Japanese salaryman. And they get fucked over. And he's like, but I have this other one where he's a salaryman, but he develops magic powers. So then he's no longer a salaryman. He's an old salaryman, like a 45-year-old, old in quotation marks, going off to do. He's hired by the FBI or whatever, to do FBI things, but like also to the magical FBI. And the editor said yes. And here we got this show.
And the mangaka goes, to which idea? And the editor goes, yes.
So this show is about a salaryman whom gets bored gets like inspiration one day because he's lonely and buys a bird. He's his little guy.
He just needs serotonin in his life, and so
he obtains this bird who speaks to him, literally speaks to him at the bird store. It says, "My name is Pier Carlo, Star Sage or reincarnation of the Star Sage," and he goes, "That's fucking weird. I'm tired. Anyway, this is a cool bird."
I thought the bird didn't speak to him until he brought it home. The bird just went,
I don't fucking remember.
Well, the bird did mimic something in the store.
It was like, pick me, pick me.
Yeah, or something like that. But yeah, so he has this bird. This bird is the Star Sage. He is the reincarnation of a being from another world, and then this being brings him to this other world where some shit happened. And then he learns magic because there's magic in the other world. And then one day while he's walking home from work, he sees a girl being stabbed in an alley or in the middle of the street.
Like you do.
Because like there's like some serial killers around. And he sees a guy he pulls a fucking parasite and makes his arm into a blade, and it's like, oh, that's bad, and then he shoots ice magic at him. And the person who was getting attacked so happened to be a member of the secret magic person society they're called psychics.
They're psychics. I was gonna say, please refer to them properly.
Yeah, they're psychics, with their water manipulation and turning their body parts into blades.
And psychokinesis. Point proven, they're psychics. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. And then you also have the magical girl who disintegrates into the Sonic Frontiers dimension at the end of episode 2. That we then don't talk about.
This show follows Sasaki with his bird Peeps as they go on adventures, dealing with wars in this fantasy world, and also being psychics in the real world.
And also terrorism, weirdly.
And also getting hit on by a small child.
Yeah, that is a small child.
And
his neighbor's child just sits outside all the time because apparently the neighbors are in there fucking or something.
And also his coworker, who's also a child, who is 16, by the way.
He's also 16.
We have a lot of things to try to unpack here. Real quick, something I want to talk about. I can't tell if the hint that characters are psychic and have those abilities for female characters is their eyes, or if that's because that's how every female character in the show is designed. The reason I don't know the difference yet is because we have yet to meet a female character who is not a psychic outside of the little girl who lives next to him, who could be a psychic. So I'm like, who
looks a lot like the character that we saw that was murdering people in the second episode.
No,
we certainly do have Chekhov's small child sitting outside.
The one with telekinesis is a character straight from Code Geass Season 2. Please just get that one straightened out. Outside of the telekinetic powers, that's not accurate, but
yeah, this show is absolutely fucking buck wild.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Why do we spend so much time in the first episode and maybe a little bit of the second one establishing that the younger guy he works with is making his own startup company? Because, we talk about that a lot. It's definitely going to loop back around somewhere, and I'm a little worried.
Oh yeah, also, to all the viewers, very important thing that happens in this show. In the other world, he starts a business. He starts a restaurant, and his first worker and his
Sanji.
Lead chef, his name is French. And we'll let you decipher what the fuck that means.
But he's also Sanji.
Yeah, but he is Sanji, but his name is also French.
Like, his boss in the kitchen... Like that's a pretty accurate parallel.
I can see the Zeph.
He's got the riz of Sanji. He's like a prodigy chef right away. His name is French.
I really like the idea of this show. The fact that there's like 2 separate stories going on in 2 separate worlds, right? I really like that concept. I don't like how they're doing it right now because it feels like both are just being paced so wildly different.
Yeah, no, it's two just completely different stories that don't happen intertwined.
There's just something that are off here. They subtly drop that like time works differently when he's in the other world, where it's like time in the other world is like faster than time in our world, basically. So like he could take a nap there for 8 hours and come back like 2 hours later in our world or something.
It's like 5 minutes later or something.
And it does some weird stuff with like the show itself. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like he's in this meeting with like the leader of this village, right? That ends up dying in his work.
The Viscount.
dying. He totally died, guys. Definitely.
I think he's
I
dead.
imagine
He's dead.
I think he was.
He's
I
definitely
think the
dead.
butler is not suspect at all. By the way.
Well,
But,
I think
I mean,
maybe, but he's certainly. You said that like he wasn't dead, and let's be clear,
Yeah,
the man's dead.
he's very
There was
dead.
something they said that like made it seem like it was like.
It felt
What are
more.
we setting
It
up
felt
here?
more like the butler has a plan in relation to the secession debate.
For sure.
And
Yeah,
that like
but,
or
like-
has or does have ties to like the enemy kingdom, at which point giving him access to his real world goods might
Yeah.
be a problem.
But like now that he was like the original guy like who was buddies with the Star Mage in the past, that we found out as well. They're having this discussion, and the Star Mage is talking about like this very serious like lore breakdown of like the world and like how they killed the Star Sage and how like important it is for this stuff and like going to war and stuff. And in the background you should have like the very cheery like da 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 like in the background of this very serious like wartime discussion. I'm like, this doesn't fit.
Well,
and it
no,
just like randomly
you-
cuts like halfway through the explanation and it's just quiet the rest. And I'm like, what
No.
is this sound?
No, see, you
distraction?
gotta know that it's the fantasy side of the show. Like, it wants you to know immediately by tuning into the music exactly what setting we're in.
It's
If you
just like
couldn't
this
tell by
evil
anything
fantasy
else.
Tavern track
if
where
you
they're
can
trying to
tell the fact that
discuss
it-
like the importance of like going to war here, and like I'm just like I'm so lost as to what the like mood I'm supposed to be feeling is. Should I be worried? Should I care? Should I not care? Like,
I mean, I will say they
and
do a
then, like,
good
half-
job
and, like-
with distinct visuals between
and,
the
like,
two
the-
areas.
the worst part is like 2/3 of the way through it, the music just cuts and it's just quiet while he explains the rest, and I'm like, why? But,
I did not pick up on that stuff, I will say, but what is by far my biggest thing right now is episode 2 is wholly psychic stuff, and then episode 3 is
Yes.
wholly fantasy side, and it's like, okay, you're gonna be asking a lot of me to remember what you have going on in both locations if we're
And-
going to be away from them in certain episodes. Like, you expect me
we
to
also have very
remember.
clear villain boss of the psychics.
We have a well. This is the other thing I was about to say. There's a lot of characters in this show who the show goes, you probably shouldn't trust them. Wink, wink. And I'm like, okay, how many do I need to have?
Everyone.
Who can I
no
trust?
even Sasaki
You can-
is untrustworthy.
You can trust the guy named French.
You can trust. You can trust
French.
French.
So
You can trust the French guy.
I do
What was the guy
appreciate
named
that
French?
Sasaki looks at his neighbor's child and goes,
Guy whose name is
"Please don't
French.
give me a massage in my own room. You can stay outside, have some food, go away, please. I have a bird to
I-
go talk to."
I love
You are-
Sasaki
you are, like,
so
15.
much because
Also, when he has like the when he's like the funny hand thing when he makes his like marketer face.
Mhm.
Ooh yes, please.
In the same way, when he finds out that his detective partner is 16 and not old enough to drink, which is, by the way, as soon as they get to that restaurant and she orders orange juice, it's like, okay,
Orange
we don't
juice.
need the rest of the You
Yeah.
could stop and we would all know where we're going. I was like, please give me an age that's reasonable, and then it didn't.
please give me 19, 18,
Something.
16.
Well, what's Japan's drinking age?
18,
20,
I
I
believe.
believe.
That's why it has.
Oh, it's
20 now. Okay.
I believe it is 20.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's,
Someone
look.
mentioned he was 20 at some point.
but
I don't know.
even then, he's like, you should not be here. You're a child. Why are you working with the FBI, the Japan equivalent of
Swat.
homegrown terrorist
Money.
organization? Yeah. I'm sure she has something very emotional and personal that's causing her to need the money. I'm sure we're gonna get into that as the show goes on.
Yeah, but like we need a. Oh no, that might be next episode. But it's not then gonna be episode 5 because episode 5 is gonna take place in the fantasy world.
See, no, I actually think next week's episode, based on the title, is fantasy setting because I think we're looking more at the Viscount's younger sister.
Succession thing.
But I think we're
sister
focusing on
person.
his younger sister. Or is it his
Small
daughter? I
blonde.
don't remember what
It's
the
his
blonde.
daughter.
It's his daughter. his daughter.
Blonde-haired girl that mirrors girl outside of neighbor's house in the opening.
There's too many
definitely
girls.
Zero connection there.
That's his daughter.
For a show that's all about feeding a sparrow high quality, high class meat, there sure are a lot of young girls in this show.
I also love all the notifications every time it comes up. It's like, please do not feed like grade
Yeah.
5 Wagyu to your fucking birds.
Yeah, do not feed this to Java sparrows that are not reincarnations of the Star Sage.
Now, if your Java Sparrow is a reincarnated Star Sage, go buck wild, man. Go for it.
Give him some A.
Who are
Wagyu
we?
Chateaubriand.
Who are we to stop you?
that was a really good bit when his like first
Yes.
words are, "I want an A5 Wagyu Chateaubriand." It's like,
What?
huh?
I also do like episodes
Like,
3
what a
bit.
cute birdie.
I do like episode 3. I think it is 3's bit. It is 3. Where Sasaki thinks to himself and he's like, the Viscount just said that the Star Sage didn't wasn't like the biggest fan and was like, I am the Star Sage. He was just a guy who got the title. The first words out of this bird's mouth were, I am the Star Sage. What the fuck is going
I am
on?
Giancarlo, reincarnation of the Star Sage.
Do we have other thoughts about Sasaki and Peeps, the show that is 7 shows?
Not particularly.
This show's just
Weird.
kind of
I
wild.
wish it was just one of the 2 shows, because both of the individual shows seem interesting. Mainly the fantasy one. I like the idea of like just a guy who's just like haggling goods from our world into another world. And just like, yes, these wonderful writing you.
Do I have
There
good
is an
news?
isekai that
Do
was
I
released
have
like
good
a year
news
ago.
for you?
That's just that, but
Yeah,
it's a
that
theme
is
in
an
the lead.
entire show already.
I know.
Becoming rich in another
That-
world, I think, is what it was
That must
called,
have been
or
what
something.
that must have been what happened. He was like, I have this idea, and the editor went, no, you don't. Someone else does. He went, shit. Okay, what about psychics?
I have this idea, but we put something else in the real world where he has to actually have 2 jobs.
This is when we find out that other show also has a psychics plotline in the real world.
No, it does not.
Yeah, maybe. I
you
don't know.
never
I
know.
haven't watched it.
Whoops.
Is it time for?
It's time for Mason to talk. Talk
Hi,
about
Metallic Rouge.
Metallic Rouge.
So, Metallic Rouge is a show about 2 definitely not gay girls who
Nope.
do robot crime things.
Can't be gay if you're a robot.
Yeah, that's actually the secret fine print of the Asimov code.
The Asimov code.
It's like part 1, cannot kill humans. Part 2, cannot harm humans or touch them willingly. Part 3, no gays.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So for viewers at home, that is not what this show's about.
No, not
Mason,
at all.
continue.
So, we're still kind of figuring things out, but basically there are two types of beings that exist right now. There's regular humans and there are neons. Neons are like servant robots that are also people. Like they have skeletons and things. We do actively see that, and I'm still trying to figure out how that works. But neons have to survive on a like substance called nectar that keeps them going. And if they don't get that, we see very quickly some humans steal some nectar from a robot, and he's freaking out. And then we see his corpse later on in the episode getting picked up by corpse removal.
Which we should note the
they're also-
humans steal because it gets them high as fuck.
Yeah. Also, the show takes place on Mars, which is neat. Humans have colonized Mars. There's also they talk about there was a war at one point that the Neons helped the humans in against. I think it's called the Usurpers.
Yeah, I love Mega Man Zero.
Right. But yeah, the whole show, we're still kind of figuring it out, but basically our 2 main characters are Rouge and Naomi. Rouge is Battle Girl, and Naomi is Girl in Chair.
Yeah, Rouge is a robot in disguise.
Yes, but she does not have to... So every Neon, which is the robots, has to follow the Asimov code from Yeah, I, Robot. Because that's in public domain now. We can use that shit as much as we
Is it,
want.
no, isn't
It's-
the Asimov code just like an actual robot thing?
Isn't it from a book?
Like a,
Isn't
It's from iRobot.
I'm pretty
the
sure it's from
book.
something way before that.
That's
Or maybe it's from
the
that book. Oh.
That's the book Isaac Asimov wrote, guys.
See, I know iRobot as the movie.
No, we're not watching Will Smith kick the shit out of Shia LaBeouf.
Nah, sounds like a great time.
But anyways, she does not have to follow the Asimov code, even though she is a robot. She also doesn't look like a robot, aside from having the port to inject nectar. And also, there's a group of 9 immortal robots that they're hunting down. We're
or
not
something.
quite
They're
sure
called the
why.
Immortal Nine.
Yeah.
What the fuck that means?
She has killed one of them, I think, so far. There's not much more I can explain about this show besides going deep in depth in it, but this show's neat. It's not quite high on my list yet, just because I'm still kind of feeling it out, but I think it's very fun, and the combat looks really neat. It's very good. It's very flashy. And the story, the first episode sure does just throw everything at you and go figure it out, and then it kind of explains it a bit more as you go into it. I think the third episode is fucking incredible, just because it talks about how neons actually are living, which is not great. Very not great.
So
You watch some really not good stuff happen to them.
I have some clarification on the lore of the Three Laws of Robotics, which is that it's originally in a short story of Asimov's, which then gets included in the iRobot collection.
Were we right about rule number 3?
Let me double check.
No, there are 3 rules.
Let me double check. Yeah, no, it's
rules
rule
are
4, fine print, gays.
Yeah, it's the rule 4.
But yeah, so Mason is correct, but that also explains why in my brain I don't associate with iRobot, because I just associate it with like his science fiction writing. Hey Mason, I want you to take a very quick guess at some piece of material I want you to take a very quick guess about 2 pieces of material you have been consuming that are going to bring up the 3 laws of robotics sometime soon.
Oh, I know that fucking nonary games do. I know that for a fact. I'm sure Danganronpa probably
stares at Kibo.
Looking at you, Kibo.
Looking at you. So my biggest thing is that I actually really liked episode 2. I actually think episode 2 is the strongest of the 3 episodes for me.
Episode 2 is really good as well.
Because I think you get a good amount of like world building just from the interactions on the Orient Express. And I was really expecting us to go murder mystery that episode, but no, they subverted my expectation, and it was just giant mech machines. But like I think that episode's really, really cool. Like it does so much happens in that episode, and even like the chase scenes look really cool. My big thing with episode 3 that like is kind of the reason this show isn't higher is that there is no action, which it's fine. It doesn't have to have it, but it's like I really like the show's action. And also, boy, do we pull the trigger on that child quite literally. We get introduced to this character, establish their importance, and immediately kill them in the span of 3 minutes. It is...
Yeah.
It feels like we don't spend as much time as I would like with that group to like let it sink in how important this character is. But I mean, we're gonna see what they do with it. Also, her brother is collecting the nine soul gems of these
the Immortal 9.
The Immortal 9, which they have 2.
I think Victoria was the 3rd. Or I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah. They have a line where like, I guess we should call them the Immortal 6 now.
Yeah. So we know for sure because they established in episode 1 that this has happened before. Like she's gotten one of these before. At least
the Red Ranger has shown up before, and
she picks up Violas in episode 1, and then episode 3, his line implies that they have one because he hasn't yet gotten Violas, and that's why there's 2 there. But to be fair, they don't outright just be like, yeah, we killed the other one for sure. Like they haven't verbalized that, but that's most likely what happened. Also, they need to stop bullying her. I like her. Don't call her a tactical weapon to be used. Shut up, Naomi.
I do like how Naomi
fucking
within like
Gen
5
Z
minutes
nerd.
is like, damn, I'm a fucking asshole.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yes.
It's nice.
I also just love Naomi entirely.
Yeah. Also,
She's
Naomi in the
fantastic.
dub
I don't
says
know.
the word cringe.
She says it in the sub,
and
too.
That's really fun.
She says
Good.
it. Yep.
She does just say the word cringe.
She
and
certainly
it was
does
really
say
funny.
the word cringe twice in the sub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't have.
But
I don't have.
I think
too many
you
other thoughts myself.
you mentioned something earlier, which is why the show is like why the show stuck out to me and why it's sitting at number 1. I think in my brain is that this show does world building so well.
Yes.
It has characters so fluidly in conversation, talk about rules of the world, and show them in ways that aren't just. And in this world, there are witches. What?
I loved
the only way to rank a witch is
I loved the bit in the beginning of episode 2 where you still have like no real idea about this world other than it's Mars, and robots are there, and then you have Naomi explaining to a child, "Hey, this is why we're in a desert right now, and why all of these weird machines are around because a war happened." It's such good. It's a good way of world building that makes sense without giving us like exposition.
And you get the foreshadowing, like, if you hadn't got it from if you haven't picked up just from how the society works in episode 1, which you could just chalk up to, like, showbiz industry or high-class society, when you get the interaction in episode 2 with Huey, where, like, at first, his owners are like, he's a great guy, he fought in the war, he serves us faithfully. And then he takes a bullet through the shoulder, and the bullet goes quite literally through his shoulder and hurts his owner, and his owner's like, why didn't you block the full bullet? What the fuck is wrong with you, you worthless piece of scrap? And you go, whoa, man.
Chill.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I hate myself for bringing up the Mega Man Zero thing, because I'm not gonna not be able to think about that for the entirety of watching the show now that I've made the connection. They're just the Reploids.
Yeah.
I'd love to try to become anime girls.
I can't wait for the last episode of this show to end with Departure playing. Not the one you're thinking of, the one I'm thinking of. Any other thoughts?
It was just fun. Also, its soundtrack.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Its entire soundtrack is such a banger.
We just have a really weird cut at the end of episode 3, but that's fine.
For what it's worth, Sasaki and Peeps, at least in episode 1, I wasn't paying as much attention in 2 and 3. Episode 1 soundtrack goes fucking hard.
Yeah, it does.
It's more that like they showed specifically like its soundtrack for the battles is like, it's one of those things like you expect like anime battle music to be like big orchestral shenanigans, and it's just like, yo guys, we're doing and it's
cyberpunk rap.
Some shit they just start yapping, and it's like, damn, that kind of slaps though.
Damn, I going hard.
Hey John, you're up.
Yay. So, a sign of affection. So in a sign of affection, we have our main character Yuki, who is a deaf girl who is just trying to live her college life because college is hard enough, let alone when you can't hear. And her friend Rin.
This is the screenshot.
It certainly was the screenshot he grabbed, and no one else grabbed another one.
No,
her friend Rin.
We'll talk about this. I actually like the screenshot.
It's a great scene, but
it's a good screen, but out of context, it is
funny.
such an extremely fucked screenshot.
But we'll talk about it.
Basically, Yuki has a friend Rin. She's on the train going to school one day, and some guy's trying to ask her for directions in like English, and so she can't read the lips, and she's like, "I don't know what to do here." And our main boy, it's Itsunomi, I think. Itsuomi. Shows up and it talks to the guy, and he goes, "By the way, he could have spoke Japanese, but." Realizes that she doesn't speak English at all, or so doesn't hear at all, rather, and so she's saved by this boy. So she tells her friend, because he's in the cultural club with Rin, and she's like, "Ooh, he works at this bar because there's this dude I like that is the manager there, so we should go sometime." And they agree, and they go to the bar, and she ends up, asking to basically hang out with the guy, and they walk home, and you have this really cute scene with the phone where he's like, "Hey, the world's a really big place. Can I be in yours?" basically. And it's really cute. And she starts dancing, and she drops her umbrella. And it's a little embarrassing because it's raining. Or snowing? I think it's snowing. I think it was snowing. It's been a minute since I've watched any of the show.
So, real quick.
He's from Canada, which is this long-lost land called Canada. We have multiple Canadians this season.
Is he from Canada?
I thought he was just in Canada. I thought he was just
in
Canada.
Was he in Canada, or was he from Canada?
He was visiting.
He's a part of the cultural exchange club, so he went to Canada. And like while he was away in Canada, he was like really big into hiking. That's why he has the big backpack that makes him look like Mushishi. From the hit show Mushishi.
Don't think that's his name.
But
I can't
basically,
argue. I have not
Itsuomi is a
watched.
big cultural nut, and the story is just a love story about Yuki and Itsuomi, and it's very cute. And then in the last episode, in episode 3, we get introduced to Itsuomi's friends. I think it's like Shin, who's like a hairdresser, and Emma, who clearly has a past where she's into Itsuomi and has some issues with it, as we see with him going back to his house. And he's like, "Yeah, you can stay here. I'm leaving though. Bye." Because clearly there's some past drama going on between those guys. And I think we saw like, I think it was Yuki that she saw like talking to him or something that was like, clearly something is going to be brought up between the two. Whereas Yuki thinks that like she's with him, and then like Emma and him have a thing, and then she's like, "Do you have a boyfriend, girlfriend?" And he's like, "No, that's not my girlfriend."
Yeah. So
I think it was Shin was just basically like, "Yeah, no, that's never gonna happen."
No, because Shin's the drunk friend, right? So it's not Shin. It's the owner of. It's the owner of.
It's his brother, which is the owner of the.
Red Robin.
The owner of.
It's not Red Robin. What's it?
Rockin' Robin.
Rockin' Robin. Fuck it.
I'm like, it's the one. I'm like, it's a song. I just can't remember.
Oh no, she sees the fucking. She sees the pamphlet that she wrote for
so let's
about like some of the sign
language. Let's quickly get this timeline right. They are at the restaurant. The two, Shin and Emma, walk in drunk. Emma is clinging to him, which then makes Yuki go, "Why is she clinging to him? Maybe it's just because she's drunk, but what if it's not?" And then she is so into her own thoughts she doesn't realize that they have to leave. They start to leave, and then the manager is like, "Hey, just so you know, because it seems like you are worried about that." And she's like, "Yeah, what's their deal? They're kind of close," because she's still hanging on his shoulder. And he's like, "They've been friends for a while, but you don't have to worry about that. They're not dating. You don't have to worry about that." And Yuki's like, "I don't know. I feel like I have to worry about that." And then she brings it up to him on their after their little mini date. And he's like, I don't have a girlfriend. We're not in a relationship." And he's like, "What about the guy who's been signing to you?" Which we'll talk about him in a second because we haven't really talked about him. Who's
like her friend, her childhood friend Oshi.
Yeah.
Because she went to like the one like special deaf school in America, and he's there for some reason.
Not in America.
No, it's in
Japan. Sorry.
Well, Japan.
So he didn't go there. He went to normal kid school. He was in the community that she met him like out in the world, and he knows sign language because his older sister was learning it. So they claim. We'll see about that. But the thing
definitely doesn't like her. Definitely not.
Yeah.
It's definitely not going to be an important.
Yeah, that's not why he signs toxic sign language at her all the time.
That's so funny. She's really fucking good.
Something
like dumb ass bitch.
Something important to note also about him is something important to note about the show.
He probably does sign this at her.
Is that
or is it this one?
This is it is important to know that this sign language is different than ASL. It is Japanese sign language, which one of the biggest differences is that ASL does not incorporate as many facial expressions, which is really noticeable with him in particular. He uses his face and emotes a lot when he signs. Which I think
this show does it really well, by the way, with the signing and like the expressions.
Which you would hope. You would really hope it would do that.
Which it has to, obviously, but like I mean, just the fact that it does it and that it takes a lot of care for it is nice to see. Because in moving, it's a lot harder, I think, in moving to express that than it is to like say in manga panels where you can just draw the actual physical gesture itself, right?
I mean, but the show also
signing it.
The show also does kind of go into the whole idea of like it is also difficult to draw signs, like because it's a conversation. It's fluid. Like you like she has the problem of going. It goes up. It goes down.
It's like concepts, yes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's really, I think they're doing it really well. I love that she wrote like the little book for the guy. Just as like, here's some of the tips. And I was looking at some of the signs and like they're obviously like they overlap with ASL because there's only so many things you can do with 10 fingers and hands, right? Like that it's really interesting to see how like the languages both interpret similar like characters or like styles in similar ways.
Yeah. I mean,
just from like the very brief amount of sign language I knew from being a kid.
Of note, like the biggest difference for sure is love, and as this is a romance, that's like the big one. Where if you know anything ASL, like any of the expressions for love are not what they show, obviously because it's JSL.
Like the head pats and stuff.
But I just think the head pats are him head patting her.
I mean,
no.
It means
She
it's
says,
cute.
or you could head pat me. But like that,
Yeah.
I think that's not actually a part of JSL.
I think
don't
I think they just head battered.
I think
it's
she just
based either
wants
way.
head pats because she wants head pats from big strong man.
This episode is, I think I said it to Mason. This episode was it wound up being one of 3 episodes that, this show's first episode rather, was one of 3 episodes that on my individual rating I gave a 10 out of 10. Because this by far might be like one of the most stellar, immediately drop in, introduce you to the show, its concept, its premise. And you really get to see that like this show is a show that that it is tagged with adult cast for a reason. It's a very mature show. It's handling its romance in very mature ways. Like this show like jumps over 80% of like generic rom-com tropes to just be like, yeah, they are adults.
They're talking to each other. They're
they
both
can
kinda
communicate.
They
Unlike
talk
most
through
romance.
things. Yes, they talk through things with their friends and with their other people around them, and like people can pick up on social cues. And
like the tropes they do use, they incorporate into the themes of the show. Like for Yuki, physical touch is really important. So like him just grabbing and holding her hand, like it isn't just a, oh my god, we're holding hands. It's a, oh, I am now getting to know this person on an actual like physical interaction
Intimate
level.
Yeah.
I like the bit too that everyone is like, don't come up from behind, you'll scare her. And he's the only one that she never gets scared by.
To be fair, when her childhood friend walks in when she is observing, is it Ren?
Ren.
Yeah, when she's observing her, like she is full focused on them talking, he comes up and he just taps her shoulder. And that doesn't startle her, most likely because she's like
she's used to that's how people.
To me, it's also like an element of not necessarily have like again that mixture of sound she gets from the hearing aid. You don't just suddenly there's so much noise that it's not like you're like someone's up behind me. It's quite literally just the tap on the shoulder. Oh, I was focused. I wasn't paying attention.
I feel like there's a part too where it's like our main boy spilling like his whole life story to her, but like at the same time she's so like distracted with her own thoughts that all she's hearing is just like she's hearing nothing, right? Because she's not even focused on like his lips or anything. It's just like static, and he's just like, are you listening? Basically.
I really adore episode 1 when they get to the bar. No one is looking at me. My friend is in a conversation with somebody else. And the guy I came here to talk to is over there chatting, I think, in an entirely different language. So even if I could hear, I wouldn't know what they're doing about. I now feel isolated and alone in my bubble. Like,
what do?
That bit was absolutely wonderful. I also adore, and this is the last thing I'll say, I adore that in her house, her mom doesn't need to sign a lot of the simple things, because they've done it every day of their life. Like, her mom says, have a good day at school, and she doesn't have to sign it. Like, yes, she can lip read too, but, like, there are so many things that they just do in their house that's so natural to them, like, because it would be at this point in her life. And I really like that. Like, they aren't overdoing it to be like, we have to make sure you understand that she is deaf.
Yeah, and the last good thing I'll say about the show too, is just the fact that like the sound design is like fantastic, which is like, it's really nice to see that. It's just like the show sounds and feels how it should sound and feel for this kind of a genre of a show, and then like the way they use sound to like cut away from audio cues and cut away from sound to express it. Yeah, she's not hearing anything. It's just this kind of white void of like inner monologue is really interesting to me. Yeah, it's a good show. It's cute.
You know, my favorite scene of any of the shows of all 36/37, however you want to call it, episodes, was like 3 minutes into Sign of Affection episode 1, when it's like, and this is Yuki's world, and it cuts to turning the sound off. I was like, oh shit, we're going in. Wait a second, this show's gonna be fucking great. But yeah. Good show.
So, next on up, it's back to me. Hey guys, content warning's about to slam into your face. Hi, it's Weakest Tamer Picks Up Trash. It's a show that's clearly just about a little girl who wanders around and picks up trash. There's nothing else going on here, nothing deceiving or no ill will or tension. So let's run through this. In this world, people at the age of 5 are given a skill and a star rating to express how good they are at these skills. These skills let them do magic things in their everyday life. They also are just able to do magic at like a base level to some degree based on their mana capacity. Oh boy, this is the one quick where I'm gonna have to pull up names.
Amicia?
No, we have Ivy / Famisha,
Yes.
and no one else's name matters because they're all cringe.
I mean, we have. Well, that's not true. There is
Well,
Sora.
and Sora.
You have to respect.
Okay,
Sora.
but like I remember Sora too.
So,
I
our
also
main
remember
our main
His name
character
doesn't matter.
our main character who is now going by Ivy, and thus we will respect them and refer to them as Ivy because they are hiding their identity as a young girl and have cut their hair as all young girls do in anime. So that they don't get absolutely murdered by their village who wants to kill them because they are a 0-star tamer and thus considered a bad omen and a calamity upon the world. So Ivy, in the first 2 episodes, is, trying to survive, picks up a little slime guy, the weakest of all slimes, the most easily disappearing of all slimes, the disintegrating slime.
Yeah.
And by a miracle, by that I mean by Sora the slime climbing into her bag of her fucking bag of holding, he survives the night and is able to live a slightly longer life than most disintegrating slimes. We see that Ivy picks up some trash from some trash piles, gets potions to get by, is real good at doing snares and killing animals in brutal skating fashion. Your typical hunter-survivor skills. We learned that Ivy got this neat, cool bag of holding from the fortune teller of the town she grew up in, who was the only nice person ever to her. Once her skill set was revealed, and also has died, and thus is the reason why people are hunting her.
Yeah, I think one of her siblings didn't want to burn her at the stake.
Well, to begin with,
No.
at the start, and to also be fair,
originally the sister was kind of just like pissy-eyed.
let's quick jump into this because this is episode 3 entirely focuses on Ivy's backstory. Which is, nice family, decent skills, gets a no-star skill rating, which is a suspicious scene to watch because there are clearly 3 stars in that orb at a time that have not solidified, but what do I know? Because we haven't seen this skill ranking thing shown anywhere else. This is the only time we get to see it emerge, so we don't know what it's supposed to normally look like. To which her dad, great guy, trust me viewers, you don't gotta watch the episode, wonderful human being, gets home, drinks, looks at his wife and goes, "Is that my child?" To which I go, "Yeah, she's got the same fucking hair color as you moron." But hey, men. To which then sends her mother into a depression spiral of her husband, accusing her of infidelity. Her asshole brother, who was always an asshole, was like, "Get the fuck out of this house," and her sister is just kind of like, "I want no part of this." Witch hunt begins. Also, Ivy has a voice in her mind that occasionally pings from her previous life. Because that's a thing.
Yeah, because this is an isekai because it needed to be, apparently.
It's an isekai. It gives her another little notch in her belt to help her survive, along with her 70 bags. What I will say...
She has like 4, I thought.
It seems like it's 70.
She has 70,
sometimes.
and then she loses like 80 of them in episode 1. And then just has 4.
So some couple of quick things. I think the show's very pretty. There are a couple of moments where I think, since this is like the first thing this studio's done, where I feel like the animation's not as fluid as it could be, but it still looks nice. Like, I feel like the animation looks so nice that sometimes it's like, there should be a couple more frames maybe here or there on some movement, but otherwise it's great. Stuff gets really dark and really aggressive. A tree almost murders her at the end of episode 2. And she assumes that Sora is going to eat her, as it is a disintegrating slime that only eats blue potions, but we, the audience with brains, realize that blue potions are healing potions, and thus Sora is going to heal her. But hey, she's a child. We cut her some slack. Episode 2 is probably one of my favorite episodes, outside of, all the emotional trauma we get in episode 3. Because episode 2 is just her living a good life, traveling around the city, pretending to be a little boy, selling squirrel meat, eating bread. And then the adventurers show up and are like, with wanted posters, and Ivy's like, "Oh no, I gotta leave. I guess all these people I like, I just have to leave behind. Oh no, this is gonna be a thing, huh?" And then she finds out that those adventurers who were coming after her also got murdered by Tree. So good for them.
L.
I think it's a W.
No, it's L for them.
Yeah.
W for literally everyone else.
This show is my number one just because I in a similar fashion we were talking about Metallic Rouge. I like the way this show drops in like its world building to it. Like it does have moments where it's like there is a star system of the skills, but like you learn with Ivy a lot of the time. Like this is a child who is learning how to survive, and you get to watch that happen and unfold. I also think it's really cool to have the fortune teller be like, yeah, the skill thing didn't used to happen. I don't know when it changed, but people used to just live their lives like normal people. Which in episode 1, there is a very big moment where it's like, people use their skills to get by everyday life. And it's like, I have lit the fire with my fire magic. I have added water to the pan with my water magic. I simply cannot do anything by regular means because that would be inconvenient. And I really like the show's kind of hitting that theme of like, just because we can doesn't mean we should. We could just live like normal human beings. Wild concept. And I also think the witch's advice to her about once you find people who you trust and want to live with, tell them everything. Understand, child. Do not keep secrets.
Secrets will eventually come out.
Yeah.
The truth come out.
Yeah, I really like this
think
show.
You're hiding it because you're an actual witch, and they will kill you.
Yeah, I think when I was making my power ranking, I forgot episode 3 existed. If I was to go back, the show would be higher in my power ranking.
Episode 3
it ended up where it ended up.
Episode 3 is the second 10 out of 10 episode I had of our shows this week.
Episode 1 of the show was fine. Like it was like a solid intro to the world, but it was kind of just whatever. I was like, okay, I'm not really into this yet, but like, okay. Then episode 2, when the posters showed up, I was like, oh shit, yeah, no, this show's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Haha, funny poster doesn't look like her.
Then I just kind of forgot about it by like the time I was doing power ranking because there was like a spread of time between that final set of stuff. I don't know.
I like the part in like, was it episode 2 or 3 where it's like she's in the town now and she's been there for a minute and she's like, her hair has grown longer. Clearly, she's been there for a couple months, if not like a year. Everyone in the town recognizes her. Is like, oh, this is the girl. She brings meat. She sells it to me.
But they still think she's a boy. They all call her boy.
Which is fine. Which is perfect for her.
That's what she wants.
So they're like, and so when all the launches poster out, they think nothing of it. They're like, oh yeah, whatever. Do you want your bread today? We got the good ones. We got the special ones. I was gonna throw in a couple extras, and she's like, no, I gotta go. Actually, I gotta get going.
Anxiety.
She's like flipping out, and everyone else in town is just like thinks nothing of it because they don't put too much together because her hair is still way shorter, and there's no color. They didn't color the paintings. They colored the drawings. A little bit more worry there.
Look, we're all One Piece fans. We know how good wanted posters are.
It's just interesting to me to see how like she reacts to it and like how like the town itself is just like they couldn't think anything of it. All they know is that she's this nice girl that goes hunting. They don't know her skills. They don't know her specialties. Because no one's really bothered to ask her. They just assume probably that she has a hunter skill or something like that.
And unlike 80% of the population, who she walks into town and hears the man go, my skill is intimidation.
My intimidation skill.
Honey, your skill's intimidation. You can't talk like that to our child. That is by far.
He definitely has a running skill. You would beat me in hide and seek because you have a searching skill.
Those bits are by far the worst written dialogue of the show, but I get a laugh out of it every time.
But I will say it's just like I like that it's like the only reason why she does eventually have to flee is because the guy's invitation make her feel like those are the mercenaries from her town probably.
Yeah.
Which also like I get why they want to hunt her down, but also
it's a witch hunt. It's quite literally the guy who's in charge and maybe in charge of the town is like, she is a blasphemous demon child. We must hunt her and kill her, and that will make everything right.
It is just Kobe,
the idea is that they because the priest is being a priest in a corrupt religion system as they're showing, her existence next to the countess or the fortune teller, whoever the fuck, they go, yes, she's the reason she died of an illness. Which you could argue yes, that's probably why she got the cold that killed her was her going out to help her in like a time where she probably shouldn't have.
I also think another element to it is the whole that guy probably has a 3-star skill in something, and it is very important to him to perpetuate the idea that that if you don't have these 3-star skills, you are worthless and a burden to society. Because they have clearly, like, look at her brother. He has a 3-star he has a 3-star, I don't remember what his is.
3-star woodworking.
No, because her dad's the woodworker. He has something else.
3-star
It doesn't matter. He has a
something.
3-star
Oh.
skill and he thinks he's fucking hot shit. And it's like, no. But yeah. Hey guys, it's crazy
Yeah, if
that...
it tastes better if you had a better than 1-star cooking skill, sister. Yeah, shut the fuck up, kid.
It's crazy that 2 of our shows this season have a plot point of people accusing a small little girl of being an illegitimate child. It only happens twice, but it's insane it happens twice this
Crazy we had
season.
that twice.
Which
I had a nickel.
we'll get to if we had a nickel. We'll get to that one though. Other thoughts?
I think it's good so far. I just think it's got more to do to like keep me interested in like the main plot.
Yeah, no, if I was to redo my power ranking, this would probably be bumped up to number 5, and everything else would have just been popped down one to accommodate for that. But like, whatever. Hindsight's 2020. Whatever. Power rankings don't fucking matter. I'm not voting to show off. What really matters is whether our vote shows up.
Okay.
Okay, so we got the best show that's ever been made. Guys,
I'm
we got
so
Hokkaido
excited
girls
to talk
are
about this.
adorable, I think. I don't remember.
Super.
Hokkaido gals are
You know,
super
you got the best show
adorable.
that's ever been
Yeah.
cast. There's a difference.
But yeah, so this show, sadly, I'm not able to watch the show fully dubbed because this isn't being simul-dubbed. Metallic Rouge and Tamer are. Those are both very good dubs. Would
Technically
recommend.
Dungeon Meshi.
Yeah, and Dungeon Meshi, but that one's not on Crunchyroll, so like my brain forget. I am going to be watching that dub. I just didn't know it had a dub until I got to episode 3 and saw it had a dub. But yeah, this having a dub is very important because it is where I get enjoyment from. It is where my serotonin gets injected directly into the bloodstream. So this is a show about a guy named Tsubasa. His family moves to Hokkaido because probably work things with his dad. I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter.
Probably.
The show's never gonna explain it because it doesn't matter. He's in Hokkaido now. He gets out of a taxi and he goes, "Huh, my phone's about to die," and also isn't working apparently, or they just didn't want to animate the phone screen. We don't worry about that. He sees this girl, who is a gal, a gyaru as they say, in the native tongue, and he goes, "Ah shit, maybe I should ask her for directions," but like sits there kind of staring at her, and she goes, "Hey, what you doing, bud?" Because in the dub, the voice actress is Canadian, has a Canadian accent, or isn't and puts on a very strong, thick Canadian accent. I don't know which it is. Either way, it's very funny. Because Letterkenny brain rot. So this is the show about our boy Tsubasa being the most boring, bland, dumbass motherfucker ever, making a harem out of all of the gyarus in his new high school in bumfuck nowhere Hokkaido. Also, it's very horny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there sure
Sometimes.
is. There sure is that
Plot.
one bit in the first episode.
Yeah,
that
the first episode,
And the
he
bit in
goes
the
over to
second
her house
episode.
to
And
they're
the
gonna
third
watch a
episode.
movie, and they're watching a movie and it's I don't there's a sex scene in the movie, but she's asleep, but also she's like wearing her pajamas, so he's like, huh, this is kind of weird. And then she goes and gets the Soylent Green from her fridge. I don't remember what the fuck it's called. It's called soft something. It's fucking like almond milk or whatever. And then she like sprays it all over herself or something, and now it looks like she has cum on her tits. Yippee!
This show-
Episode 2. I worked at episode. Episode 2. They're kind of vibing. They go to like a festival. It's really cute. It's a good time. Episode 2 is real cute.
They
I
crawl
enjoyed
into an
it. So
igloo.
it's
They
kind of-
crawl
it's
into
probably
an
they do
igloo and make obscene
She
noises,
actually makes sex noises.
and then Grandma walks up and goes, "What the fuck?"
Episode 3 realistically isn't that bad.
No, I think
he just
episode
kinda
3 is
walks
the best
around-
episode of the show.
Actually,
Yeah,
great.
episode 3 they go on a
He
ski
does
trip.
walking on a girl changing, so
Yeah, but like
She's
it's not like
wiping
in a
sweat.
weird way.
It's like the dress up darling sweat scene where it's like, but honestly,
It could've-
less
hey, it
worse
could've
than
been
that
worse.
one.
could have been
Yeah.
worse.
Even the one in Dressing Bug is a little whack. But yeah, episode 3 is about we introduced the second girl, Akino, I think is her name.
Akino.
She has purple hair. and she's shy and doesn't talk to people. And she's a gamer.
I have a question,
Also, she's
Michael.
really bad at skiing.
Do you think she has
better.
gamer vision? Like the other
Absolutely.
purple-haired gamer on this
Yeah.
previously on this podcast.
Yeah, she would be an absolute legend at rock climbing. But also she gets too sweaty, so she'd be really bad at it and she'd fall off the wall. That's why she doesn't rock climb. Her thing is that she sweats a lot, which means she doesn't do PE things, so she feels awkward and is behind in being athletic. Also, she plays Super Smash Brothers, but not Super Smash Brothers, because it's called like Sis plus Smash Bash. The second.
Superb Clash Sisters.
And there's like a plus somewhere in it, I think.
It doesn't matter.
But yeah, this show's just fun. Is it good? I couldn't tell you.
No.
But I had a good time with it.
It's so much better when she's Canadian. When I had to switch over to the when I had to switch over to subs, it got infinitely worse because then it was
I have
Not
the
a
hot
bad
fine.
sub.
I have a hot take that I think that while I think the dub is funny, I also and no, this is not meant to be shade at the voice actors. I personally can't get through it because the male lead sounds too much like someone who does a bridge dubbing, and I just
It
have
might
brain
just
rot.
be him.
It could be, maybe, I don't know. But for me, the sub still makes almost the exact same jokes. There's a couple. The Tokyo Tower joke is not in the sub, but it's
Oh man,
almost
that
the
Tokyo
same.
Tower's my favorite. Any more of this, my Tokyo Tower's gonna light up.
But like the other jokes in
Mine is
episode 1 that
wild.
Michael's like, there's no way. He's like, that's crazy in the dub. I'm like, it's just as crazy in the sub. I just think this show gets hurt from coming immediately off of Our Dating Story from last season, which did the Gairu thing, and I think has a better female lead.
Oh yeah, this
is
show
the
is
trade-off.
not great. It's
This-
just funny.
This show's male lead is arguably better, but he still has the same bad mental writing as the one from last season, where it's like, is in a room with a woman, is worried for the woman's sake because he is a man and thus a horny monster who will do terrible things. And I'm like, anime, you can stop writing us like this. Like I understand. Desires exist.
I mean-
However, every time,
I know this is a thing that doesn't matter, but I would honestly disagree with you on better male lead because like the male lead from Our Dating Story, while he started off not great, as soon as he was not around his dickhead friends, was absolutely fine.
But here's my argument. I think the MC here is also better in episode 3. Like,
Yeah.
because I think he doesn't have any of those large, like when he walks in on her changing, he doesn't have any of those, like, weird, like toxic masculinity thoughts. His reaction is, shit, I left the bus, she thought she was alone, this is my bad, I should get out of here. Which is a perfectly reasonable reaction to that situation. Doggo. Doggo's making the biscuits.
Really, I think the show is fine. It's just like it's a little too fan servicey at times, and it's like I get it, that's the point, but like also it's just like, man, you're actually kind of funny at times. Show lean into that more.
Right.
They're also building like the whole I lived in Tokyo but was a sheltered kid who focused on study because family stuff, and
And also his parents are probably rich.
and my grandma's
and
very
also
traditional.
he's building a harem.
Yeah, no, that was the point I was building to, which is I really don't necessarily care about this going in the harem direction. Even though this is going to be harem light, where it's like, oh, the girls maybe have crushes on him, but he only has the eyes for the one, despite the fact being physically attracted to all Gairus is a character trait he has.
No, what I'll say is the show already identified that it's probably not going to be a harem, and the fact that like all the girls might like him, but they're all going to be like, okay, that's cool, because like literally what happens in episode 3 is she's like, so you like her, right? No. Okay, so you like her, so I won't pursue this. Got it. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
We say.
Well, I do think I think Akino developing a crush in that, I think it's written in a way that is believable that cause he's like the first person who's spoken to her ever as like a human being,
as a gamer.
Which like,
and also he's trying his hardest to be a gamer, and it's very fun.
On one hand, I get. On the other hand, I don't necessarily need every single female character in a rom-com to be attracted to the male lead, for a temporary amount of time. And we know we're getting a third.
This opening's really funny. because the characters dance like for the second half of it, and the dance is wild.
I will say the only thing I will give this show is I am more excited about this show's peripheral cast than I was about Our Dating Story. I thought most of the side characters there were very dull and boring, and this cast looks more enjoyable. But
I will say Jessica's entire character trait in Our Dating Story, or Jennifer, I think I called her, I don't remember, was that she had resting bitch face.
Yeah. I see you saw the video.
Clearly a J name. Surely.
Most suppressed group of all. Gamers.
With the glass ceiling.
But yeah, this show's probably getting voted off soon-ish. Maybe probably not this week based off the way the PR looks, but like, who's to say?
Sorry, I forgot what the screenshot was for fucking BUCCHIGIRI. Was not fucking. Oh.
BUCCHIGIRI.
Mason.
Speaking of shows that are also probably going on this week or soon.
Mason, we sure do have a show to talk about here.
Yeah.
Speaking of women.
So, BUCCHIGIRI is a show about a kid named Arjun who moves to this school that is entirely run by gangs, and it's basically pick a gang, any gang. You're joining one of them, and if you don't, you're going to get the shit beat out of you for the next 4 years. And if you do, you're going to get the shit beat out of you for the next 4 years, but you at least have some backup.
But
you have someone who will beat the shit out of them.
But homoerotically get the shit beat out of you.
Yes. So, like, this show really wants to make it seem like it's a romance that's also a shonen, but what it actually is it's a yaoi that's trying to be a shonen. It's just JoJo's. It really is, and I'm here for it.
It's shitty JoJo's.
Yeah. Basically, like,
until everybody else gets their stands.
Yeah, Arjun finds this, like, he's running away from some gang members at one point and locks himself in a, like, shrine and finds a box that no one wants to open. And he opens it, and a honky man pops out.
He sure is a honky man.
There is a honky person.
Well, there's like a needle. There is like a little like needle, and it goes.
Yeah, he Persona 3 shoots himself with a gun to unlock his spiritual power. Yeah.
Oh shit, he does.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, this guy, I don't remember what his actual name is. I just think of him as BUCCHIGIRI.
It's
no, he certainly does have a name.
He certainly does have a name. I just do not remember it.
It's like a genie name though.
Senya.
It's Senya.
Senya. Yeah, Senya is now a part of him. He's a spirit that only Arjun can see, which leads to Arjun talking to himself a lot, from what it seems like to everyone else.
Sure is a bit I wish would stop.
Yeah, but basically, Arjun really likes this girl named Maharo, and she asks him to fight for her. So he fights the biggest, baddest dude, who
the biggest, baddest brother.
Yeah, who turns out to be her brother, and she hates him for it. But he loves him for it, because this is the first time he's gotten the shit beat out of him in a long while, and he's like, I respect you. Made graduation.
Mason, can I clarify something real quick? Just because it might be confusing to the audience. When Mason say she hates him for it and he loves him for it, we have to clarify who those pronouns are referring to. So she hates the main character for beating up her brother. She loves her brother for being her brother. Her brother loves him for beating him up, and this is a cycle that will repeat for other characters, just removing the little sister out of it.
Yeah. And then also, also at the school we have main characters' old childhood best friend that at first we don't know why main character is avoiding and trying to act like he doesn't know him, and then we find out that when they were kids, best friend Kun got the ever-loving shit beat out of him while Arjun watched from the trees and didn't step in to help. He felt really bad about it, so he didn't want to face him about it. He still can't talk about it, even though best friend boy is trying his best to still be a best friend.
Best friend boy was like copium. I wasn't strong enough. My bad.
Yeah, so he became the strongest.
Yeah,
but not really. he became like third strongest.
Mason
Essentially.
and I were talking about how this best friend is the character from Tokyo 24th Ward, and then I said yeah, but just mixed with the character design from Skate.
Yeah,
and you get him. That's how you get him.
He's just
he's just
Ward
Shu
character, but with all the homoeroticism of Skate. But yeah, this leads to just Arjun getting thrown into random situations where he does not want to be there. But Honky Man makes it so he gets through the fights.
Also, he has a weird tattoo on his ass.
Yeah. But...
that Honky Man keeps staring at.
Yeah.
I think it's because they started to, like, their bond is getting better, so now he has the tattoo on his asshole.
But why is it on his ass?
He's becoming a honky man.
Every bad idea starts with a tramp stamp, Sean.
Also, main character has a mom. She's fucking wonderful.
He sure does.
She's the best character in this show.
She's pretty good.
She watches her romance dramas.
She's just kind of crazy, and I love her. I am of the opinion that the two best characters in this show are his mom and Jin, who is the main female lead's brother, whose gang main character joins. Because he's just kind of crazy, but the fun kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I like that.
He is Marito, not to be confused
Jin,
with his sister, Jin Mahoro. Thanks,
yeah,
show.
Jin Marito and Jin Mahoro.
He's also voiced by the voice actor who did Yosuke in Yu Yu Hakusho in the sub.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, the show I'm enjoying. It's definitely got its moments, for sure.
Listen, somebody didn't love the game of Turn That Way.
That bit's good.
The game of Turn That Way was fantastic. I really love it when the show focuses on the gang warfare, like it did in the third episode.
Which is what it seems like its next episode's going to be about, considering that the end of episode 3 is this third gang run by the Emperor setting the other two gangs up to hate each other.
Yeah. It's very good in terms of, like, if you enjoy, like, shonen battle stuff, it's fully passable, and the animation does go off because it is a Mappa show. Like, let's not forget this is Mappa, so
yeah,
it's going to look good.
But also the animation's quirky and fits the comedy style. Like, the comedy bits work because of how the show looks.
Mm-hmm.
Just reminding everybody how the show looks real quick.
Also, opening and ending are absolute bangers for the show.
Yeah, maybe up there as one of my favorite opening EDs of the season of just.
Yeah, I think it's probably my favorite ED of the season. It leans into its, like, Arabian influence on the Honky Man, which is definitely not a genie, we promise.
He does grant wishes, though, and of course our main character's wish, how could we forget, is to fucking lose his virginity.
To get laid.
Yep.
Hey, but he never specifies to who.
True, he just wants to lose it.
I am very glad that they have started laying off on that bit. Episode 3.
That's just because he doesn't need to merge and punch somebody in episode 3.
I do think it's funny that he calls it out when he merges a little bit. I think it's a little funny.
I also did enjoy the bit in episode 3 where he's like, hey man, I cannot take this punch. This guy will kill me. His punches quite literally can break concrete. And Senyu goes, oh, okay, and just holds his head. And just
like,
makes
your head
him
will be
take the
strong as
punch.
concrete. He's like, your head will be strong as steel beams. And you just watch it, and it's like actually good.
It breaks this man's hand.
Which,
and like, how hard is his skull?
Which, for what it's worth, I really hope this character's not dead. They don't necessarily, like, clarify whether he's alive or not.
Yeah, because, like, there are some
he's cool.
He's
a cool character.
Yeah, I hope he comes back. But, like, there are some points in episode 3 where it's like, are those guys dead? Because it sure fucking looks like they're dead. But also, he's named and has a cool design, so I think he's coming back.
Also, I sorry if you mentioned him, we have Ken, the leader of the other gang, who's just been held back 5 years. I think it's 3, but it's funnier to say 5.
It's 3 years, so he's 21, and he's a fucking giant.
He's just Nekomura Nidai.
He is.
Yep.
Love that, man.
I like the '90s vibes from this show in like modern animation. I like the art style in general, like really rounded, really like exaggerated art style and very colorful. I do think I rated this show way too high. I will come out and say that. But anything from like 5 through like 10 was just kind of like a
yeah.
I also really like the environments in this show. Like the setting itself is really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Just I love how colorful this show is.
Michael, do you want to say the big but, or do you want me to? Because I know we both agree this show's biggest problem
is the girl.
No, it's the main character.
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
Arjun's the worst.
Or have you warmed up on him?
No, he so you said it. So you said a thing earlier.
Yeah.
About the fucking I don't remember what the thing was, but you're like I hope this bit stops, and that's how I could sum up my entire opinion of this show. Almost every repeated bit was not funny the second time, or the third, or fourth, or seventh. Every time he interacts with Mahiro after the first, I'm just like, cool, it's whatever, it's the same fucking thing I'm expecting. And
I did enjoy.
It got really boring really fast. I think it's funny how I think the original Subversion was like that was neat. But that's how that was like, oh, the Screamy thing, that was kind of funny because he's doing with a different character. But the second time he yelled, "I want to lose my virginity," I legitimately was like, what the actual fuck show?
I will say this in defense of this. I do enjoy the bit that he has with her towards the end of episode 3 in his mom's cafe, where she is just she knows what she's about, she knows what he's about, and she's using the fuck out of him. And I'm here for that. I'm not here for the weird Brocon thing, but like, you know what?
You take what you get.
Yeah. I will give it a pass for now.
My other big thing is...
I mean, the issue might boil down mainly to Origin, because half of the bits are him being the fucking worst.
Yeah.
Also, the second time he has to go take a shit in the middle of something. Haha.
Yeah. It's
funny. I am 4 years old. I think taking a poop is funny.
The other one
first time was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Then he did it twice.
I think he's done it 3 times now.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's a
again,
lot.
The issue is like it's a funny bit the first time because it's like different, and then the moment they repeat it, it's no longer subversion of expectations, which is how comedy works.
The other thing I will say is I do not really care for the third gang. I know we need an unabashedly horrible set of people, but like I just don't care. I don't care about they quite literally are the worst thing to put into a delinquent show, which is we are the school brass, not even from your school, you follow our horror rules of the emperor, or we strip you naked and beat the shit out of you with weapons because we're all pussies and can't fight with our fists. Like they are the worst thing to have in a delinquent based show, and I get that's their whole thing, but I could care less about them.
They're just here to
cause problems
and have their head of their gang just be a Yomushi pedal villain. He has the energy.
They could have just used Origin as the reason why this tussle happens between the two sides. The show didn't need to have a third party come in and start fucking almost killing people.
And they're going to resolve the issue of the two heads thinking it's each other as soon as they as soon as his leg hits his fist, they will exchange words without talking and understand that neither one's at fault. And then they will walk away.
And then they're going to go beat up the other team, or the other guys.
Absolutely.
And
I will enjoy that bit where they walk in on the Emperor's stronghold and beat the ever-living fuck out of everyone.
I think my issue with the show, outside of our, boils down to, it's just like a generic shonen, and it just kind of exists. It doesn't feel like it's funny sometimes. It just doesn't feel like it's doing a ton that's new. Outside of that screenshot that is gone by the time you hear this. But
I could go back. It's fine.
No, because as I said it switched over to the next screenshot. Let's go on to
Yeah.
I just don't particularly like.
So I can make this one pretty quick.
Yeah, we're gonna. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have some things to say about this show because arguably, what I will throw out right now is there is a part of me that does legitimately think, in my opinion, this should probably be the #1 show this week. But I really like Tamer, so my personal bias will put my show above Solo Leveling. But John, let's talk about Solo Leveling.
So solo leveling is one of the biggest was it manhwas in the world? Korean.
You got it.
And so basically it's a slow build where it's this world of like skills that you acquire from like you awaken basically and you get a skill. Or you get magic basically, and there's a magic rating where it's like the higher your magic capacity, the more strong you can be, right? And everyone has like their own specialties and skills and things they can do with it. Except for our main character, who's like the weakest awakened person ever, but because he's like awakened, he can still be a hunter. Or
Yep.
Hunter, yep.
And so, I'm trying not to mix this up with one of the other ones I'm reading, which is also basically this story, or basically this concept. And so it's like the wording is weird, but they call them hunters. So basically, they go into dungeons that spawn, and then try to clear them out, so that way the monsters don't escape to the real world.
No, but they're also dungeons sometimes.
But guns and stuff don't work, so they have to use like more ritualistic weapons like swords and spears and bows and magic. And he like. One of our characters is a level 3 healer who's friends with him because he's just like the weakest hunter basically is what he's known as, because he has enough that he can work but not enough that he can do anything. But you have to like collect these mana crystals to make money basically, and so he's just like trying his best to make money for his mom who's in the hospital, who went in a coma because she like basically like mana poisoning, as I guess kind of how they describe it, where it's like there's just so much like magic around her that like she just went comatose.
Yeah, she has the Digimon Cyber Sleuth story disease.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But basically it's a slow build, and then by episode 2, or episode 1, he goes in this dungeon with this party, and they are trapped in this dungeon, which has an extra like layer to the dungeon. They're like, oh, there's a second dungeon in this dungeon. Are we gonna explore it? 5 to 4, they say yes, we're gonna keep exploring this dungeon. They get into this big doorway, and they're like, huh, there's usually not fancy ornate doorways in low level dungeons. Let's open it anyway since we're here. And then they walk in, of course, they all explore around, and it goes
that was a really good door noise.
Yeah, holy
what
shit,
the fuck?
John.
I do good noises.
You really upgraded from
Train doors closed.
But,
God,
anyway,
I think the greatest show that's actually ever
statue man
existed.
stares down at them, and there's like a bunch of statues in the walls, and there's one giant one that's all regal and sitting up, and it's very like plain face, and they're like, oh, this is not good. We're trapped in here. Let me run for the door and try to open it. And they run for the door, and then sword comes and splatters guy in the wall, and they're like, oh, we're in trouble. Turns out there's like a little tablet that's like, hey, follow these 3 rules and you might get to live. And rule number 1 is like express that,
show reverence to God.
like show reverence to God. So everyone bow. He's like, well, yeah, everybody bow. Everybody be chill. Everybody cool. Everybody bow for this thing, this statue, because it's the important one. And they all do. And then the statue grins, and that's when you know they're super fucked. They're not just fucked; they're super fucked. Because then the statue gets up, and they're like, "What now? What now? What now? What now?" They're like, "Oh, we have to pray to the god. We have to show that we believe in it." And one of them was like, "I study etiology. I know this. Almighty being, how beautiful you are!" Splat! Fucking gets stepped on, splattered across the floor, and then was like, "Oh, that's not the right religion."
I study religion. Oh, you're gonna die.
And so it turns out they had to run these statues that have. They had to run the statues. They're like, it must be the statues because they lit up. I'll stand next to this one with the battle axe. Shrink, dead. And they're like, maybe the music ones that won't kill us with instruments.
I really wanted the one with the drum to just go.
It was so sick.
They do that, and they fucking
so fucking sick.
They get to all the statues, and he's like, wait, there's one more. Oh fuck, the singer. Shit. It's like, you stay here, and he goes taking off, and then I made it. I'm gonna crawl there. I got it. Woo! And she's like, you lost your fucking leg. It's over there. How he didn't lose more than his leg is a better question, because the statue he got hit by was the big one, and I'm like, how is that leg there?
I
expected it to
framing.
be his entire bottom half wasn't there. I thought that was what we were
kind
gonna
of
get.
expected that too.
Yeah, like both legs are gone. He has one leg still, and so it's the third one, which is you must trust the god. And so all the statues then get up and start walking towards them to kill them. But it's like that the monsters from the SMP games, where if you look at them, they won't move.
It's the game look away.
And so the door opens slightly, or the door fully opens again after the second phase, and they're like, oh, we can leave now. And one person leaves. The door slowly, slightly shuts, and they realize as you get to the center, the door opens. Well, they all get to the center first, and then the door opens, and then the statues get up and start walking towards them because this fires start lighting, and there's blue flames around it. It's a timer. So you just have to sit there and look at the statues and trust that God won't kill you. They don't do that because they fucking panic, which, I mean, I can't blame them. They have families and lives, and, like, Mr. Weak Tamer over here has been popping off so far, but, like, it's very unlucky he goes 3 for 3. Basically, everybody gets out except for just him, who has to stay, because he's like, hey, I have half a leg. I can't carry her. You gotta go. He's like, I got one arm. I can. Bye. And so he just gets beat up by the statues, and then suddenly, with 0.02 seconds left on his heart, it goes, you can be a player now. Would you like to say yes and not die? And he's like, yes, I would. And then wakes up in a hospital where now he is a player where he gets, like, basically gamer menus, and he gets levels to equip to stat points for doing tasks and stuff. And so now he is, like, leveling himself. And now he just, at the end of episode 3, finally enters a dungeon by himself that he has to now get through, apparently, on his own for the first time with his new, like, skills that he's acquired. So it's like, it was a very slow build-up, but the more I talk about it, the more the second episode is actually really fucking sick in the premise. But, like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, the show's a slow build so far and has a lot of potential. It's like, yeah, duh, everyone fucking loved this show, or this monologue. So but
it's
I
good.
want to see more with it still.
From what I understand, the fight scenes are just fucking sick as hell in the.
That's all I've heard, is that the plot is whatever, but the fights are cool.
And then the concept is different.
We do get at the beginning of episode 1.
It's a concept that's already done.
We do get in the beginning of episode 1 the, like, here they are on the island, the dude with the flaming sword and white armor killing the mobs of centipedes. And that shit's rad as hell. That whole sequence is really cool.
Yeah,
and we also get
team.
to meet, like, the superhero woman who everybody loves and admires as a hunter. And then we forget about them for an episode and a half until they're briefly reintroduced in 3.
We're, like, dealing with God.
So, like, come in
Yeah.
to save the people in this dungeon
shit.
and just find him fully fine in the middle of the dungeon by himself while everyone else escaped.
Also,
Well,
the second part of
alive.
the dungeon just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's gone.
Yeah, we forgot about the fact that, like,
Duh.
the men in black show up to go, how the fuck did you live that on your own while everyone else was escaping with no arms and legs and shit? And he's like, good question, next question. Where they're like, okay, we're gonna test your magic power just to be sure. And he went, oh, good, second awakening. I'm gonna be so strong now.
This-
And it's like,
Nuh-uh.
6.
This is a really interesting little piece of, like, world building they give you where it's like, okay, so the people at the very top are probably almost entirely second awakened people. Because, like a lot of the big shots are probably that. Guys, I'm sorry, I have to engage us in this conversation. Why is this show called Solo Leveling?
Because he levels and does it
Because
alone.
he's the only one leveling and he has to do stuff by himself.
Which one is it? Is it because he levels alone, or because he's the only one able to level? I don't like this paradox I am in.
I mean, I can
not
tell
both?
you because
They're not
DJ
mutually
explained this to
exclusive.
me back when he was reading the manga like 3 years ago.
No, don't explain it to me because it's a spoiler somehow.
Either way, the show's
So,
good.
I will
Yeah,
talk
Mason.
since I have it the lowest on my list. So, as I explained to everyone before the podcast, my top 2 are my top 2. My bottom 2 are my bottom 2. Anything in between there, that other 8,
I love that that's become the thing now.
Yahtzee! But part of 2 is I did give some thought into it, and, like, while I know this show is going to get better, it was really slow for the first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's better in the 3rd episode, but not much actually happens. So that's my only issue with it right now. I know it's going to pick up quite a bit. It's already picking up, but I just, right now, I'm in the tentative, we'll give it a shot. Because there's clearly shows, I think, that are below it that are going to get voted off first and give this time to actually get into its own. But for right now, it is my lowest of the middle of the pack. For that exact reason.
Okay, I don't think I praised this section enough. Episode fucking 2, the scene where they're running to the music statues, as they get to each statue, the statue plays their music, and then it layers that on top of the already existing soundtrack, and then when he gets to his final statue, it's the vocal one, and oh my god, is it such a fucking cool scene?
Yeah.
It is really cool.
Oh my god.
I really like, man, they do a lot of fake outs in this episode. In that episode where it's like, look, man, my wife is about to have another baby. I'm gonna have 2 kids in the house now. I'm ready to retire soon as I can. And like that man gets through so much of it, and then he stands in front of the statue like, well, bud, it's your time finally. It's time for you to go. And then everyone else is just an asshole. Like, I get the standpoint of, yeah, why would we trust the guy who's gotten us this far? But also, maybe trust the guy who's gotten you this far. None of you had any bright ideas in this almost completely death pit situation. But I get. And mainly my biggest issue is the guy who leaves, the guy who's fourth left in the group, who's like, we got a girl who's paralyzed and can't move because of trauma that's just occurred to her, a guy who's missing one arm, and a guy who's missing one leg. Fuck you all, I care about my life. I watched a friend died today, and I go, so did like everybody, dude.
Yeah.
Get over it.
I have a family.
So did everybody.
So do most of us. We all came from somewhere.
Yeah.
So I said this in the group chat because this is the show I tried to watch dubbed because I think the show is either simul-dubbed or whatever. I don't remember. I tried to watch it dubbed. I got about 5 minutes in. Posted in the chat. This dub's terrible.
Unfortunate.
So you know how you mentioned there was like a switch up with like the guy?
Yeah.
I could call from about the second line he said that he was gonna die because his dub voice actor probably this is his second job ever doing it. You could clearly tell what characters weren't paid big money to be there, or haven't done stuff before. Like they were very clearly expendable characters. No shame on them. It's just very obvious who an experienced voice actor is versus a non-experienced one in the show. It's gonna have a lot of fucking characters.
We also get something in this show. There's like a couple of things since Mason walked out, and we have a little bit more time to flesh this out.
The reason I said this is because I've already mentioned this to Mason. Yeah. I showed him how bad the dub.
He probably still has his headset on.
Yeah, probably.
But the two of the things that I noticed, we have the friend of his sister who is like hovering around the idea of being a hunter. And is like, I could do that. Your brother's a fucking wimp. I could be a hunter. He keeps getting his shit kicked in. And I'm wondering when they're going to pull whatever they're doing with her. The other thing I think is really neat is that the healer who's with them very much shows us that you can overexert your powers and fucking kill yourself as a healer. Which really means, honestly, sure, he might be an E-rank hunter. At least he's not an E-rank healer. Dear Lord, what would you do? Simply not go into dungeons. But it seems more like you awaken and the government goes, go do your job. Go do it. You are now a hunter. Go do it. Enjoy. And then of course we have my favorite bit of episode predominantly 3, which is gates appearing in the middle of streets and causing delays for people to get to work, which I think is the funniest shit possible. You're just on your way to work. I can't come into work day, boss. Why? There's a gate in my way. What? Fucking get someone to clear it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little late to work today, boss. I just, yeah, they blocked off the entire interstate.
Hey, guys.
I'm gonna be stuck here for a minute.
Are we ready for the fastest conversation about a show ever? Hey, it's Way of the Pon. Episode 1, they play mahjong because this girl gets kicked out of her house by her mother because she's too loud when she watches music performances in her house. Thus, her dad calls her through his telekinetic powers and goes, "Heard you got kicked out of the house, hon. Go to this location you've never been to that I own property on, and then clean it out, and you can use it." And they're like, "Based, it's a mahjong parlor? Why?" Dad has a secret mahjong parlor. I'm sure a better show would make use of this somehow.
Yeah.
Episode 1, they play mahjong and break all the rules multiple times. Also, we established that 80% of this cast's names are puns on mahjong terms. We also have maybe the only two good things about this show immediately in episode 1. The OP, which is another fucking ADHD music song that also has the Danganronpa 2 pixel art just going around. And also the Ricci table. Bing bong, Ricci. Ricci. Bing bong, Ricci.
No, we also have Bird. He's kind of cool.
Yeah, we have Jumbo. We have Jumbo,
Yeah,
which
Jumbo.
means penalty. It means penalty. They explain the very basics of mahjong, which I would go into and like talk about, but the show's not going to be here after this episode, and since they only play mahjong one more time in episode 2, there's no need for me to talk about what they do right or wrong.
barely play it in episode 2.
They do a little
Yeah, I still
better.
have no fucking clue how Mahjong works. They still haven't.
Yeah, I've not learned how Mahjong
I know you're
works
trying to
watching
make
the
Not-
like 3 sets of 3 or
Yes.
4 sets of 3 and like a pair
Yeah,
of 2.
I
But
I
like,
will.
that's also like a vague description of how the hands work. That's,
Hey
like, the most
guys, to
basic
save
hand
us some
type.
time, one of these days I'll load up Mahjong Soul, the browser game that we would have seen in this show if it lasted longer. Because apparently from the trailer they just flat out use screenshots of it, and I'll just explain Mahjong as I play it to you. At least Ricci Mahjong. This show makes some haha funny anime references in episode 1. In episode 2, the character Ricci, yes, that's her name, talks about her childhood playing Mahjong. And in episode 3, they make food and show you how to cheat in a way you can't do in most ways you play Mahjong, because in any online Mahjong game, you can't stack the tiles. In fact, you don't need to give a single fuck about those tiles, because you don't interact with them at all. There's a spirit bird. Yeah. I actually think episode 2 is not bad. I legitimately laughed at some of.
Not that
I
bad.
legitimately
fine.
laughed at some of the bits. Like I enjoyed her being like, I like playing mahjong and not caring about the rules is kind of fun. Like that's fine for an episode or 2. They should start teaching how to properly play mahjong and like incorporate, which I imagine is what one of the next characters of like this set of 5 girls is going to be. Is going to be the one who's like, no, I'm gonna show you how to play mahjong on this anime TD browser game. That's a gacha game in disguise.
What I'll say is, it's kind of like playing League with your friends, where like sometimes your friends will play something off meta and they'll int, and you're like, that's funny and it's fine for now. But sometimes you want to actually play League of Legends and win games, and in order to do that, you need to play the game properly.
I will say I like this show's
Play the
character.
game properly.
I like this show's character design. You know, we got Chitose, or not? No, what's the Licorice Recoil character?
It's Chitose, I think.
Yeah, it's Chitose.
Yeah, you got Chitose from Licorice Recoil. You have Amelia from ReZero. You have a firefighter who just takes off her firefighter jacket the whole time and walks around half naked. And you have the main character. She's here. And you have Chumbo. Good for Chumbo.
Chumbo's a good name.
They did a One Piece bit.
True.
Any other thoughts?
I use my Chun Beam.
I-
That was a really good bit.
That was a good bit.
What am I supposed to do when she does? You're supposed to act like you've been shot by a fucking beam, bitch. Do it better next
That she
time.
sits there pouting. That was a good bit.
Was a good bit.
There was a world where this show
Unfortunately,
could have been better and could have been a funny gag for like 2 weeks instead of 1, but instead,
and that world is where this show actually plays mahjong.
yeah. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
contractually obligated to pick up the mahjong show. I am
I
0
understand.
for 2 on mahjong shows being good, not counting Day God show.
Oh, Day I Became a God.
The Day I Became a God, where they play mahjong for an episode, and I didn't pick it, so that's why that one doesn't count.
Mm.
God, this screenshot is so
Yeah,
funny.
my way to explain the show is that it doesn't do anything that I hate.
It exists.
Like it's just kind of there.
So,
It just
so the
doesn't
thing
do
is,
anything
it
particularly
doesn't do
good.
anything.
And that's
Yeah, they
what
just
we
kind
hate.
of vibe. They're just kind of vibing, and like, you know what? I didn't have any like actual negatives about it, like I do about Witch and the Beast.
Hey, I'm so ready. Sorry, this will probably be our last long discussion of the night, so I'm so fucking in for this. Let's talk about it, Michael. It's your show.
Yeah. So Witch and the Beast is a story about about a person and another person. I think.
Sure.
We have Guido, who is a blonde
Not wrong.
Individual.
individual. That is who was cursed by a witch at some point in her/their life. We don't actually.
It's
I assume
complicated.
based off of whatever. And they're trying to fix that. And the way you can, as the show has very much told us, there's 2 ways to get rid of a witch's curse. They're very strong. There's 2 ways to get rid of it. You either get a true love's kiss from Prince Charming, which
Very
fucking
doable.
that's Chekhov's fucking ICBM. I don't know why the fuck that needs to be even mentioned. And or you can or the original witch can undo the curse.
Michael, the reason why they include that line is so they can subvert your expectations with the third unspoken rule, which is there will be gay.
Yeah.
And what happened if witches and curse subjects be gay?
Yeah.
It's happened twice. It's crazy.
Chekhov's ICBM got me so
It's a good
hard.
bit. He's
It
subverted your
fucking did.
expectations.
So yeah.
Holy
And
shit.
essentially, and also the coolest character ever. His name is Aleph, I think. I don't remember.
I'll
I
double
don't feel
check.
like looking it up. I think it starts with an A and has an L in
Aslav.
it.
Is this one
Aslav.
Aslav? The problem is there's a metallic Ashaf. Yeah.
Asaf.
Ashaf.
Okay. He's really fucking cool. He's a mage.
He's sick.
He is a first-rate mage with
Yo.
top-rate magic or something. I don't know. He's a mage who does mage things. He's really
He's
cool.
a vibe.
Hey.
And these two work for the Resonance something.
The
they deal
Order
with
Society of Magic, something like that.
Then there's resonance somewhere in the name, I think. But anyway, they deal with magic problems like witches and cursed boxes and witches.
Order of Magic Resonance.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, they go on missions to deal with shit. First episode, they go to this town where this witch is like, because generally people hate witches because like that's where the term witch hunt comes from. And also like witches are evil sometimes, most of the time. And they go, ah shit, we gotta go deal with this witch in this town. But like this witch is a good person, maybe. Just kidding. All witches are evil, every villain is a lemon. And this witch is doing some bullshit to like because so originally like this town was cursed to like be on fire. Then her grandma fixed it.
It's so funny when you say it.
Then her grandma fixed it, but everyone then thought her grandma was, because she was a witch, was the one who did it. So then they crucified or killed her grandma, however the fuck she died. And then she goes, I have to light the town back on fire. And to do that, I have to sacrifice a person for every seal my grandma put down. And then they go and fight the witch. And the reason why I've been calling Guido a they this whole time is because we are to choose a third way to not be a witch, or not be cursed, is to kiss a witch, any witch, and it temporarily undoes your curse, or like it doesn't until the witch is dead. No, but like the witch doesn't. I don't fucking know.
It temporarily undoes the curse.
Undoes the curse. And the curse is that Guido's actually some like anti-magic big buff ass dude inside this coffin that Ashaf has been
chauffeuring around.
Has been just walking around with, which was a really sick character design thing. I was like, oh, this man's just sick. He's just walking around with a coffin.
What do you got in there, man?
And beats the absolute fuck out of this witch using his anti-magic powers.
I appreciate also that he does the fucking Itachi Genjutsu bit
so
all the
funny.
fucking time.
He has crows.
Episode 1 has one of the greatest scenes of all time, at which point he turns to talk to her. He's like, don't do anything stupid. Ah, shit. And then it cuts to her down this massive set of steps, and instead of him clearly having the time to walk down the steps in between when he's up there and when she instigates a fight with the witch, he just crow teleport materializes, and it's like, what's up? I'm the crow dude.
But yeah,
it's a very good way of introducing his powers.
Yeah, no, he's really cool. Yeah, they deal with the witch, and she gets handed over to the society. Episode 2, we deal with some magic shit. We deal with like a box and like a fish platypus thing that he drowns. Or something. I think that was episode 2.
That's the start of it, and then she gets angry that they're not dealing with witches.
Yeah, and then he gets a letter and he goes, "Speak of the devil." Then they don't deal with the witch.
Because he's a fucking troll. I love him.
And then he gets another letter and goes, "But this is a black letter." You know what that means?
Letters generally means it's a witch. And then episode 3
spoiler.
They deal with a witch. But episode 3 they deal with what they thought was a witch until he goes, "No, actually, it was two boys holding."
2.
Episode 3, I think conceptually is like a really solid idea, and I actually didn't expect the twist at the end because I'm stupid and never get twists in anything.
You and I are gonna fight about this because I watched the opening, just like watching the opening with Mason, and he goes, "Oh, they spoiled that." Mason, there is no clear indicator that those two are going to be tied to that grimoire. The only thing you could get is to go, that character's blonde, and there were 2 of them, and the character under the mask is blonde. I have deduced the intro has spoiled something.
So the reason why I said it spoils it is because of the fact that it is the first one.
Well, yeah.
And where there's 3 more after it, and I went, this is episode 3. We have enough time for 3 more villains.
Or set of characters.
Yeah. But
yeah,
But you are right, because the
yeah.
next character shown in the opening is in the thumbnail of the next episode. So they are going to be relevant, but there's also multiple characters in most of those shots, so...
yeah,
Episode 3 is kind of neat. We're doing another witch thing, but like they aren't witches, but we think they're a witch who uses smoke powder or like, smoke powers, and they're like, it's kind of weird that they only use smoke, but like let's not worry about that. And we're like we're dealing with another like I think magic person. I think she's just does magic.
She's a mage. She's the town's only mage.
Yeah, and she's also a police investigator person, and the witch is like only killing people that are connected to her, which we learn like partway through, and then we realize actually the witch is her 2 sons who we thought died in a fire 10 years ago, which was
It wasn't that long ago.
No, they were like.
No.
I thought it was. Oh wait, no, because she isn't that old yet, and she got whatever.
Because they show the shot of them in the car with her after recently having been adopted, which is a thing they reveal after they have died.
Yeah.
And like they're clearly that age, which like builds into their motivations maybe, but also they were cursed by grimoires. So
from what it seems like, it's like she adopted them like within the past year.
Yeah.
But they've lived with her a decent amount of time.
And this has maybe been going on for like a few months at max. This murder spree.
But yeah, they got their hands on a grimoire that just magically appeared on her table.
It's 2
and
grimoires.
Yeah, that's a grimoire that this one turned into 2.
It got split in half.
Yeah,
and
something, and now they are evil.
And they can instant transmission to each other.
Yeah. And then we like deal with them.
There's a
and
line.
Then it's also like kind of sad watching them die because it's like damn, it's like we have to deal with them. They're not going to be disconnected from the tomes, or the grimoires. So. Oof.
The reason I had an issue with this was so for one, killing kids, but for 2, they're like, yeah, no, we didn't love you as a mom. We loved you as a woman.
Which is a crazy line. That line's wild.
Yeah, no, I was not.
I was going to bring that up if
Mom.
you didn't.
We saw you as mommy.
But then they also say because we knew you were too old to be your actual mother. It's like, yeah, you were adopted as almost adults. You should know she's not your mother.
Yeah, bro, you guys got adopted when you were like 15, and she's like, what, maybe 30? Maybe?
Yeah, they were old enough to like exist at that point.
I do. There's something that I will give. This show is entirely carried on Asif's back, just like that coffin.
That's fair.
Because like his dialogue, what he's willing to reveal, what he's not. Like when in episode 2, when they start to introduce this case, and they're like, okay, I've set up the sound barrier. You're going to tell me your motivations, and he only says, Godot's motivations. He doesn't say anything about why the fuck he's doing this or why he's in his position. She's like, I believe you. Revenge is justifiable. And then she drops the fucking sound barrier, and Godot's like, did she just fucking walk out of here without telling us anything? He goes, yeah. Are you surprised that the one mage in this town's an asshole? You've been with me how long?
I want the show to explain to me the difference between mages and witches.
Mages have innate magical power and aren't passed down through hereditary through genes, because they make a note that like the witches do pass on through spawn.
Yeah, but how do we know that mages don't do that as well?
We don't, which I'm sure will be a plot point later.
I sincerely doubt it.
What I will say is there's one thing I watched the first 2 episodes of this one in dub as well, just to process it better. And man, that dub is boring as fuck, by the way, because he is the most I don't know if it's the same in the Japanese, because it didn't feel as much, but like in English, he's just like this the entire time.
I mean,
he talks just like this and does not have any real emotion or inflection.
The thing with the sub is that it feels like it fits and it works, and like that's his character type, right?
Yeah.
Like he's the guy who isn't very emotional, but like I can almost immediately tell you, like, just from that description, that's like a dub problem with that type of character, where often those voices, if they're not done by the, like, they just sometimes don't click and are just boring. I'm gonna be the guy who's like really up on this show, even though it's not my show and it's a Yokohama Animation Lab show. I promise you, I'm not rating this show on other Yokohama Animation Lab shows I've seen. This probably would be the best, or up there at least, but that's not the point. I like this show's atmosphere. I really enjoy him as a character. I don't hate Godot as a character. I don't really have a problem with, like, the power go in, like, turn brain off when it's not associated to the thing I am hyper-fixated on. Like, I think it's really interesting that when she fucking kicks down the door, she looks at the body and she's like, there's nothing fucking here for me. Enjoy. Done. I'm out. I don't care.
The other thing and this is a small gripe, I'll be entirely honest, I want this show to pick a time period it's in.
No.
Because
I kind of think it's cool.
Look,
I like Go ahead.
If you want to do the Victorian thing, that's fine. If you want to do the, like, modernistic Victorian thing, okay, but you have to make it clearly defined. And it's really not, because the first episode sure makes it seem like they are in, like, 1800s. And then the second episode goes, yeah, but they have cell phones.
What I kind of liked about, like, this area is that we dropped into this city for episode 2, and we immediately dropped into witch serial killer, and I went, this is gonna be a Jack the Ripper case. They're doing a Jack the Ripper case, as every fucking mystery, like, kind of horror themed show will eventually do in, like, a weird modern setting, where it goes, this is Jack the Ripper, but not Jack the Ripper. And with the way the bodies were getting mutilated, I was like, damn, we're doing it. And then it subverted my very low expectations. And not to say that made me like it. I just thought I thought it was neat. And compared to Kingdoms of Ruin, I think this show's blood and gore is much more in theme and not in your face and meant to be like a whoa. It's like, no, this is just gruesome bloodshed that happens given the genre and the setting. And I really liked that.
I can agree with that. I think it's a lot more, the blood and gore is a lot more earned in this show, as opposed to Kingdoms of Ruin, where it just kind of threw it in there as, like, set pieces.
I was like, but wouldn't it be cool if they're standing in a massive pool of, like, 1,000 people's blood? Wouldn't that be a really cool set piece?
It was kind of cool.
It was kind of
cool.
But the thing I'll say about this show, though, is
but it certainly was used as a set piece.
In this show, it's doing that thing where it's like, we're going to show you the really cool thing in episode 1 where she's actually this monster creature, and then we're not going to bring that back for about half the show, because that's the best it gets.
Yeah, we can't always have Saitama showing up dealing with the problem.
We can't always have monster who is #1 enemy of witches be the problem solving the witches.
But on one hand, I also like that this case gets to be solved by the mage, who just reads the situation and pieces the puzzle together. Like, it is how I feel about the Hidan Kakasu arc in Shippuden, where I like that Shikamaru gets to solve that problem on his own in a way that no other character gets to do. Yeah, I really like this character because he gives me very strong Naruto vibes. He looks like a Naruto character and his power is crows. Come on, Michael Mason, you can't tell me that there isn't a small part of you that sees crows in the background of every scene and has to go through the same thing you did in Ruby and go, is someone there watching who's relevant to the story? Oh, he's at all times because there's a crow. Well, at some point I learned that this man can turn into a crow.
Why is my name spelled with a
Q?
Why is my name spelled with a Q?
I don't know. I'm just like, again, this is in my pack of, like, stuff that can go really bad and, like, get ready to get voted off. But, like, I am far more likely to want to shoot Hokkaido gals before I shoot this. Like, and that's just me.
That's fair.
See, that's fair. I disagree.
This is like the one time. Like, normally I'm pretty good at being able to explain why I dislike things. I don't know why I dislike the show. I just didn't feel like I just think
it is a little dripless.
It's one of the shows I just don't feel like watching more of.
Like, it just doesn't have as much drip as our other shows. That's just truth. Like,
I mean, realistically, I probably should have put Way of Pon under it, but like,
I'm surprised you didn't, man. I appreciate it.
Way of Pon was kind of funny sometimes.
It was nice of you to do, but there was like one other thing in my brain, maybe about this show, but it's probably fine. And, this show is destined to fail. Because even if it was kind of good, it suffers the This Podcast curse, which is it is doing its episodes in story arcs. So if you don't like the story arc we are about to enter for 2 or 3 episodes, it's going to suck for multiple weeks on a podcast where you watch it one at a time. I also wanted to share this in our chat, guys. If this goes, I might go read this manga. Look at that image. Look at that character portrait. That fucking rules.
See, that rules.
Do you know?
Good, yeah.
Do you know who that is?
Guido?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
assume that's Guido.
That's fucking Guido. That character art
When does she
fucking
get,
rules.
When does she get knuckles?
She
I wanna see her
uses
with,
the brass knuckles in episode 3.
Does she
They're
have
just
brass
not. They're not red. She has like weird like spiked stone knuckles that she uses to fucking obliterate the kids' skulls, but then not kill them, because we have to let the mother do it in shotgun style. Either way. Oh man, what a whiplash of a show to go to. Hey, Mace?
Hmm?
You're up.
God, we still have
Mr.
two shows
Villain's
to talk
Day
about.
Off.
It's okay, the last one's not gonna take that long, and arguably neither should this one.
So Mr. Villain's Day Off is about a villain, and it's his day off. That's it. That's the show. So
He likes
in all
pandas.
actuality, yeah, he likes pandas. He is quite literally a villain against the Power Rangers. But these Power Rangers are based. Like the red one's a fucking idiot, and I love him.
Yeah, the red one is
Which-
Zoro.
Which I do have to say, that's been a very common theme lately of like Power Ranger themed shows going like, yeah, the Red Ranger's dumb, which is not necessarily the Red Ranger's character trait in traditional like Sentai stuff. It's usually more of like, he's the headstrong, think second, which like I guess that can translate to dumb, but it's like saying like Tai in Digimon is a dumb character. That's not his character trait, but he very much is the Red Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
This man's adorable, by the way. The dumbest
Yes.
fucking man, and I love him for it.
So Red Ranger he means well.
He's Zoro.
He's a good boy. He's Zoro. We also meet the Green Rangers. Yes, I did say Rangers because the Green Ranger is 2 kids in a trench coat.
Yeah, S in parentheses.
Yeah. That's why the screenshot, if you use the one that I sent, so at the in the back half of episode 1, the first half is just him going to the zoo and meeting the Red Ranger and being like, "Hey man, it's our day off. Let's not fight about
his day
this."
off. Red Ranger's on patrol.
Red Ranger's on patrol, but he's in the wrong fucking park.
He's in the
Because
wrong
he's-
prefecture.
Sir, is that a aquarium ticket in your hand? Are you perhaps at the wrong
Lost?
location?
Um,
Fucking dumbass.
So, yeah, and then the back half of episode 1 is he's at the mall because he's like, I can't go to the zoo every day off, however much I want to. And he finds some lost kids, and he's like, okay, kids, let's get you to the Lost Child Center and get you back to your parents. And then what ensues is him buying them a whole bunch of shit and being just a very good person.
Don't get an ice cream cone. Get a cup. You gotta drop the ice cream cone. Get a cup. But we want the cone. It's cool. Shit, you're right. Okay.
Shit,
Drops
they
the
are
ice.
kinda rad.
Don't complain to me if it falls.
Complains to him when it
Complain to him
falls.
when it falls.
We
Yep.
love children.
And then episode 2, we get to meet one of his coworkers who is a rookie who just joined, and he like super looks up to him, and turns out he's just a good boss as well, because the rookie is like overworking himself basically to death. He's working overtime and like working off the clock, and Mr. Villain just walks up to him and goes, "Hey man, why are you still here? We all left like an hour ago except for me because I'm the boss." He's like, "I just want to get work done." He's like, "Take time to yourself. We're not going to conquer the earth tomorrow. It's okay."
And if we did, the paperwork wouldn't matter.
Yeah. And then I don't entirely. Is episode 2 also where we get the tail bit, or is that episode 3?
That's episode 2. 2 is where he bonds
Yeah.
with the kid in.
Yeah, so he
in the
bonds
zoo.
with a child at the
That
zoo
was
because
good.
they're both trying to
So
figure out
good.
if panda tails are black or white. And they, when they finally see it, they both shout, "It's white!"
My favorite part is that as he is standing there
Besto,
taking so
my
many
besto
photos,
friend.
he's taking so many photos, his phone dies, and the security guards are like, "Should we do something?" And then the tail comes out, and the two fist bump, and the security guards are like, "Nice," and they just walk away and leave him be.
Yes.
They're like, what a nice bonding moment between a random adult and a child.
And then he goes to the petting zoo, and all the
This
rabbits
bit
fucking
so
love
much.
him. And the kid comes back again to help him like understand how rabbits work. It's adorable. And then in episode 3, we get his other coworker, and also we see a little bit of the Blue Ranger, who's just an old man, and a little bit of the Pink Ranger. We don't really see.
I don't think that's the case. I think because the Blue Ranger, we don't get. He's as tall as the Red Ranger, and so he seems to be like an older guy, but we don't get to see his face in the interaction with the steam buns. But we do get the bit with the really old guy who's Santa Claus in disguise.
Yeah.
What a fucking
Which that is
wild line.
I think a dream.
But also
But
he
I
does
don't
get
know.
he does get a present, so it is
Does
real.
get a gift from
Mr.
Santa.
Mr. Villain actively like hangs out with Santa for a little bit while he's like asleep, and then gets a gift because he's a good boy.
And like he is physically sore afterwards, so like
Yeah, he becomes one of Santa's elves for a little bit.
so there's one of two options. Either he had a hallucination that was real where he went to the North Pole and helped Santa out, or Santa snuck into his house, dropped a gift, and then did something to him that left him exhausted by the time he woke up.
Mm,
We'll leave this to your imagination, viewer.
yes. We also get a bit where we kind of meet his other coworker that he's been trying to avoid this whole time, so he doesn't have to talk about work, or talk about his life outside of work when he's at work. And the coworker is like, "Help, sir! I'm trapped. They've gotten into the one of Earth's like mightiest like traps has gotten into our base." And he's like, "Oh my god, I'll be right there." And it's not a tonkatsu. It's a what's the fucking? Is it tonkatsu?
Is it just kotatsu?
Kotatsu? Yes, kotatsu.
Yeah.
Boss, please bring some mandarin oranges. It's its weakness. Oh, it's a good thing I have a whole crate of them.
It has eaten my legs.
And then he also gets under the kotatsu. And he's like, "Damn."
Shut up, peel me
Right.
oranges. Don't talk to me ever, die.
This show is just like, does anything of note really happen in this show?
No.
No. But is it comfy and adorable? Absolutely.
His design rules. His design kicks
It's
such
so
ass.
good.
He's
His-
is very good.
His human design is rad and reminds me I need to wear more turtlenecks, and his monster design is sick as fuck.
Yeah. And also just like watching this man see the joys of Earth is just like so wholesome in such a unique way. I love it.
I love his
It's
internal
just
struggle.
good.
His internal struggle of always being like, okay, when I conquer and destroy Earth, the pandas live, obviously. Easy solution.
Yes.
The kid who wants to be a doctor, well, we'll have to see if he's actually a doctor by then. If he is a doctor, we'll consider it. If he's not, yeah, he's human. He does kind of have to go. It's just
Also,
way...
this convenience store, that's the last thing to go.
Yeah, I'm keeping that one. So, the girl at the convenience store is the Pink Ranger, or is she yellow?
No.
Which one is she?
I don't think she's any of
I
the
thought she
Rangers.
was one, because I thought she was one.
No. She's just a girl.
Yeah, I think she's just a girl. The convenience store girl.
Yeah, convenience store girl is just a girl.
No,
Also
convenience
voiced by Yugama.
Give me a second. One second.
While Sean's doing that,
I really
Michael,
think she might be.
John,
but
thoughts?
Yeah, it's good. Connie did
she-
it pretty well.
I don't. I
Turn
think you're
brain
right.
off,
I don't think
happy.
she is,
Good time.
because a lot
It's
of
very
the
much
other
a serotonin brain off show for me.
characters who are rangers have their color
Yeah.
by their names on the page. The only ones who don't
Also,
are the kids.
Well, so the other reason, Sean, is every other ranger he's interacted with has known that he's the villain.
Yeah.
She has made no mention of that.
I don't know. She just has so much personality. I honestly thought she might have been.
I just don't like really many characters so far besides our main guy and the convenience store girl.
I mean, I'm not in here to have good characters. I'm in here to vibe and look
okay.
at
Give me the good vibes.
Oh, also, speaking of vibes, best opening of the season.
At least best opening riff of any opening of the season.
Yes.
That's fucking smooth. Well then, I think we have approached the final fluffy show of the season to talk about. Fluff.
I got this. So this is Fluffy Paradise.
I'm going to shoot you if you I'm going.
I
You
will
are
drive
not.
to your house, I swear to God.
We will kick you from the call.
Black company worker who dies, and God is like, ah, yes, human, you could pass on to the next life, or I could reincarnate you, and with one wish. And she's like, I just want to pet fluffy things. That's all I want to do, God. And he's like, are you sure about that? Or no, he's like, I'm going to send you to another world to determine if we should just blow up this world and just make it go extinct completely.
I've been told the humans are discriminating against all the other races. Can you find out? If so, by the time you die, we'll pass judgment.
Also, I'll give you a very special power.
Yeah.
When you go to this world, anything you choose, you just gotta determine if the humans here get to live or die. And she's like, that's great. I want to pet fluffy things.
And he's like, sure, I guess that can be your power. And she goes, what?
God just goes, yeah, sure, done. And now she's a daughter of a royal, or a businessman, a respectable businessman in the.
He's a noble.
No, he's a noble.
Yeah,
he's like
a low end one.
He's
though,
a
right?
dude.
No, he's really high up.
He's like third in line to the throne or something like that. Aside from the royal family,
he is like bestest bros with the king.
Well, he is now because his daughter is like bestest bros.
No, he was before.
The only reason she was there in the first place was because of that.
Yeah.
She goes with her mother to visit.
Again, this was like the first show I watched. So.
She goes with her mother to visit the capital, and when she sneaks out and then gets brought back, she gets brought back to her father, who is in the room with the king, just chilling, doing work. So like he is a duke, and he is like very high rank enough that like when they did their vows, they did it in front of the king.
Yes, and so basically she just gets to pet all these fluffy things. And so in the first episode, basically like one of her siblings is taking this very important mage test, and they accidentally spawn a red dragon, and it's like, uh-oh, this is bad. So she makes her way down to the bottom level. In episode 2, she goes, Mr. Dragon, please don't kill people. I just want to pet you. And he's like, aren't you scared? She's like, no, can I pet you? And he's like, you know what? That's based. Here's my dragon jewel. When you're older, we're gonna be best friends. And then everyone's just like, what the fuck just happened here? And then the royals are just like, listen, she's friends with the most powerful ancient red dragon in the world. Is she an enemy to the state? And her family goes, no. And they go,
she doesn't know the definition of enemy to the state.
And the thing goes, no. And the king just goes, okay, yeah, I believe it. And so now she's just allowed to hang out around the palace whenever she wants because she's friends with the king and all the people, and also she's probably the most powerful person in this entire world now.
It's also a protection thing, where if they let her into the palace, they can guarantee she is safe by putting her with all the strong people. And the fact that the prince's spiritual tiger beast, holy spirit tiger beast, also likes her is a plus.
That also favors her over the prince.
Lars is great.
And so Lars just constantly brings her back when she goes off on her little fucking thing.
I love that Lars is like a homie, but also like a what's her name?
Like the main character?
Yeah.
It's like they shorten it. They shorten it to the
Nema.
Nema.
Fatima.
Nefertima.
Yeah, it's
Nema.
I love her.
Yeah, Lars is a Nema retrieval service as well.
She's like, how come my nickname's the first part and the last part of my name and not like they did this weird.
One of the two chunks.
Yeah.
She's
like what the fuck?
But I agree with the top comment on episode 2 that just says the title of the show should actually be called "If Not Friend, Why Friend Shaped."
Yes, that's all this show
because
is.
Basically, she just goes around and makes friends with all the animals. Like in the third episode, I think like she's going on this like
Drake's.
little getaway
Well, episode
for her
2 is
birthday
Drake's.
and
Episode
stuff.
3 is like Beasts.
Episode 2 is Drake's in like downtown. Episode 3 is Beast. So like they go to like the horse stable, and this guy's like, "Yes, these are my horses. They're very mean, so you have to discipline them." She's like, "No, they're just friends. You're just an asshole." And he's like, "Shit, I am just an asshole." And she goes on this little horse excursion, and she gets back, and the captain's like, "The captain, we're sorry. We need to talk to you. Listen, we lost the super rare special horse that we were supposed to keep. Our bad. It got out." And he's like, "Fuck. We need to send out a search party. We need to like
Get the
this going. We need
hounds.
to get eyes in the sky. We need to find this thing." And here comes fucking Nema riding the tiger with the horse next to her, coming back, and she's like, "I was just chilling out there."
I
Like,
found this
I
guy.
just found him, and he seemed lost, so I brought him back.
and
He's like, I was lost, and so was the dragon.
She rode with the super fast dodo birds that were like at mid speed that go at like Mach speed apparently. All I think it was the fucking what is it, the super squad from Alabasta.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Super Duck Squadron.
The Super Duck Squadron.
But the an important bit there that the head of the stables points out is that those birds don't also usually listen to orders, and yet
Yeah.
because she was there, it listened to orders.
But yep. So she just puts all the monsters, and they all love her because that's her superpower, and everyone in the world's just like, I don't know how she does it, but it's kind of based. And also she just has this like this Chekhov's gun of like the red dragon jewel that like is the most valuable thing in the world.
It's a blood
basically.
pack,
it
but not a.
turns-
It's a blood pack, but not a real blood pack yet.
It's a, hey, I like you, here you go, but we haven't made a pact about it, so it's not a danger.
Yeah.
We've gotten around the issues with this.
I like
We
your
got the
spunk, kid,
technicality.
but I don't. But I think if you make a pact with me, you will die. So let's not. We're just gonna avoid that for a while.
But the show's just really adorable. This is just this is the definition of brain off happy time. And I like this show. It's cute.
Except
Also, she's
for-
called like she's now called like the
There's-
Dragon Maiden.
There's one issue I have
I would
with
argue
this
there's
show.
2 or 3 things that make this not a turn brain off happy, and Mason's gonna talk about one of them.
So one of them that I automatically had an issue with from episode 1 was they have this weird bit with the prince where it seems like it's kind of a weird budding relationship, and I'm not okay with
From
that
him and him
because
only.
because our main character is 4.
But also, she's like 34. Which
No,
would mean
we
it's
can't do.
I
We
don't
can't.
care.
We
We're
can't do
not-
this.
Hey,
Thank you, Michael. We can't do the bookworm conversation again. We can't do.
No.
We can't do the
The idiot
jobless
that no matter
conversation
what,
again.
It's still weird.
You gotta pick. It's bookworm where it's like it is weird because she is a child with the mind of a 35-year-old flirting with a child, and then jobless it's weird because he is a 35-year-old in the body of a child who's a pervert flirting with children. But this one it's weird because she's a child who has the mind of an adult, but more importantly, he's a prince who's like 7 years older, if not more, much more probably.
He's like 15, I think, like 15 or 16. So
But it's okay.
he's the
Just
same-
weird.
It's okay because Lars won't let anything. Yeah, his family's like, here's this cool cage and decorated gems, and he's like, yeah, those won't help you. Have a fucking wedding ring.
Yeah,
And then she gets her own Star Sage. It's great.
You go, little
she
guy.
also gets a teddy bear backpack that also summons the dragons.
It's rad as fuck. I'd like that the
It's
dragon's
rad
like,
as hell.
the dragon's like, here's an orb, and she goes, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this orb? You want me to carry this orb everywhere? Do something. He's like, teddy bear. She's like, perfect. Mine now. Yeah, we also have like we have the large scale like divide between the noble court of, hi, I am the priest. I believe we should indoctrinate young maidens into the priestdom so that we can manipulate them and use them as tools as war. And her family goes, fuck you. Like her dad's like, we should not let this happen. And then on like the turn of a dime, him and her mom are like, fuck you, you're shit, get the fuck out of here, stay away from my daughter. And
So-
the entire court's like,
So part of it too is the fact that he actively tried to say that that his wife cheated on him
Yeah.
and had her with a different man, and he's like, and she went, "You wanna fucking bet?"
do you doubt the word of your king who we swore our vows to? And he's like, shit, fuck.
I did not think this through.
Also, shout out to like the old heroes, the military captain guard who's just like, "Hey kid, for your birthday, I got you a dagger. Stay safe out there," as she's surrounded by magical, large-scale mythical beasts who protect her at all times. This show is surprising. I did not think I was going to be as in on this show as I was.
Same.
But it just kind of hits the fantasy element.
It does exactly what we all thought it was going to do, just way better than we thought it was going to do.
Hey, it just does it. Also, the opening has the scene with the dead spider and the sad beast people, and I'm fucking terrified.
Yeah, no, we're gonna
stabbing me.
The show will stab us.
We are gonna have to get into the human discrimination element of this show.
No. It's fine.
Don't mind us, guys. We're voting. That's why there's suddenly lots of silence.
And click. The hard part about voting isn't the voting part. It's the thinking of what to call your name.
Yeah.
part.
What do you want your name to be?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah,
shit! They're all in already.
It's like, what bit from this episode do I want to make my name?
I don't think anyone has like. I don't know about you guys. I don't have one that I specifically want to get rid of here.
I do.
I just have.
I do.
I have a number that I'm okay not watching.
I think there's a show that should not be here another week.
I had a whole two.
I had exactly two I voted.
Oh, I sure did slay 2 shows. It's gonna be wild if we go to a wheel, cause.
We did not.
Oh, perfect. How the fuck do you know?
Because I can see the responses.
Oh, I didn't think I let you all see it. Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. Hey guys, so I'm gonna run through all the shows that have no slays: Dungeon Meshi, Sasaki and Peeps, Metallic Rouge, A Sign of Affection, The Weakest Tamer, Solo Leveling, holy shit, Villain's Day Off, Fluffy Paradise. Now I'm gonna talk about the show that has 1 slay. That's BUCCHIGIRI. Not to be confused with BUCCHIGIRI, which was a shittier show that was on a previous season.
Yeah.
Then we have a show that has 2 slays. That's Hokkaido Gals. No, I finished the show. It's bad. Michael, you don't get to argue with this. I finished the show. It was my show, and it's bad.
I haven't finished either one, and I liked BUCCHIGIRI more. As someone who has not finished either one.
Very bad.
Michael,
I
please.
also finished
Trust,
it. It's not
trust
good.
me when I say there is no way the ending is the ending is far worse than whatever you could possibly imagine.
I mean, no, that's fair. It probably was really bad.
It was real bad.
2 slays on Hokkaido Gals, 3 slays on The Witch and the Beast. Boy, I'm so glad I didn't accidentally almost do something there. And a full set of 4 slays for Way of the Pon. No Yaku, big sad.
Who was intense static?
Probably John.
Because that's just all she hears.
I hate you.
That's why I knew it
just,
was
like,
John.
Well, one of the things I was thinking of was just like during the show, like there was a part where he's like explaining his whole life story, and she's just clearly not paying attention. I just imagine like he's saying this whole life story, and then in her head, all you hear is just the for like 10 minutes.
So, gang, here's where we're at, fellow wonderful viewers who tune in or maybe have tuned out, but will tune back in maybe at a VOD or some sort. So we'll be watching all of these shows. They're in the description. The only exception is we'll no longer be watching The Way of the Pon, which is nice because this is our only show that doesn't have a legal way to watch. Not that that has any influence over this at all. It doesn't. But yeah, so we won't be watching that. We'll watch the next episode, episode 4 of everything for sometime next week. We'll figure it out. The bright side is I should be able to knock all of these fucking out because I watched like 15 episodes of anime in one day last week. So like I could definitely watch 11.
Yeah.
Quite lately, the only reason I didn't have stuff done till a little later tonight is because every night I planned to watch stuff when I got home from work. I went to bed, except for the night where I talked to Mason for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I was like, I have Sunday to watch it, and I'll be fine. And then I went to bed because I was fucking tired. which Mason is. So we're gonna let
Yes,
we're gonna let Mason go to bed.
I appreciate that. I'm running on 3 hours of sleep, and I need to be up in less than 8 hours.
It's okay. We kept the podcast under 3 hours.
Did we?
That's what OBS says.
Huh.
I think we started it up at 10.
Like right before.
Or like right around
So
10.
we are at 2:38. So yeah.
Fair enough.
So, but thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Eventually we'll have so little shows that we'll actually be able to talk about all the other things we do in our lives.
Yeah.
Like the fact that
like Baldur's Gate.
like the fact that I'm watching Moonlit
mentioned
Fantasy
Baldur's Gate,
second season, or that
Oh.
my bros my bro Sakif in chat wants to hear people talk about One Piece, which at that point I don't know, I'll walk away from my computer
Yeah, no,
for you guys
the issue is
for a
that
while.
Sean, you need to catch up on One Piece.
No, what he wants is
Please.
for me to start reading Dressrosa again so that I can talk about it every week on the podcast, which I already told
Look,
Mason I'm trying.
I know, and I'm here for it. I just want you to catch up so you can understand how peak the last 10 chapters have been. Like, actively some of the best One Piece has ever been.
Yo guys, we had 10 viewers over the course of this stream.
Let's fucking go.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week, where the layout will be different, because guess what? I found out that I still have InDesign on this computer, so I can actually go back to some of the more sophisticated layouts.
Let's go.
Let's go.